Welcome to Masters of the Cinematic Universe. I'm one of your hosts, Joe, and with me as always is Doug and Eric. What's up, guys?
What's happening, baby?
Oh yeah, this is going to be fun.
I'm excited about this.
You know, growing up, I always wanted to have a podcast.
Growing up, you did.
Oh, really now?
That's a little hint to what we're going to be talking about tonight. But first, what's going on with you guys? What's new in your world?
Well, I have been. I took up skateboarding again after a 15-year or so hiatus. So it's good cardio, but but yeah, I've been fat dadding it, man. I had fun today. I took my 7-year-old daughter to the skate park, so we got some time, and that was cool.
That's
awesome.
Great. Did you use the hoverboard?
I have the hoverboard deck. Yeah, I was breaking that in a little bit. It's too new. Like, I hate when skateboards are shiny.
Yeah, because everyone looks at you like, oh, look at this loser.
Well, I don't care about that anymore. You know,
I know.
There were all these weird unspoken rules when we were growing up, like, oh, you can never hold your board by your trucks, and you can't wear shorts, and fuck that, man. Like,
nah. But the only thing I actually would do, because I used to skate too growing up, I would take my shoes and if they were brand new, I would scuff them on the concrete just so they'd be scuffed up a little bit. I didn't want them to look brand new.
I run my board over the rail a few times, get a few scratches in it. Yeah.
Gotta do it just to make it look a little abused. It can't be brand new because they're like, oh, look at this kid over here. Until you actually come out and do a decent trick.
Oh, we're a ways away from that. So,
Doug, did you ever skateboard?
Yeah, I did. When I was young, down the driveway, that was pretty much it.
I feel like if this was Back to the Future rules, me and Eric would be in the Biff Tannen Mega Casino Future, and you'd be back in the horse manure Biff Tannen day.
Pretty much. Pretty much. That works for me.
I'm sorry.
You mean to tell me that Doug invented skateboarding?
He did.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Exactly.
He ran up to some little kid on the thing and then pulled the stick off the top of it and then started skateboarding. Whoa, what's he doing? What's new in your world, Doug?
Let's see. Well, new Guitar Week.
Oh,
that was
shit.
pretty cool. Yeah, I picked up a PRS Starla, so I went full boomer.
Nice.
Hey, I saw a picture of that guitar. That is a nice guitar.
I used to have a Starla. They're great guitars.
Thank you.
Yeah, which color did you get?
What's that?
What color did you get?
The frost green metallic. So it's hot. I gotta admit it. I mean,
birds
I fell in love
dots?
with it. What's that?
Birds or dots?
Birds.
Nice. Yeah, the one I had was the walnut, the natural walnut finish with the birds too.
Yep.
Such a great versatile guitar.
Yeah, it is. It's different than anything I've played. I mean, it's got the humbuckers in it. It's got the coil splitting, but even the humbuckers, full, it's got a different voicing than your regular humbuckers. It's a lot cleaner and twangier. So it's definitely something different, but it's a really comfortable guitar to play.
Plus,
that's what sold me on it. I was never a big fan of the regular PRS stuff, but this one, the looks, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's got a vintage.
Yeah, well, I think Andrew Walsh said it looks like a classic car, and he's right.
It kind of does.
I named it the Bel Air because that's what it reminds me of, the color and everything. The sparkle finish, the whole thing, and it really is a dream to play. I'm excited.
And they have a nice bevel on them also.
Yeah, exactly. I like the thin body profile, but it's heavy. It's a heavy guitar for a thin body like that, but it feels good. Neck's got enough meat on it. It's not too chunky, but it's got enough on it. And yeah, I don't have anything negative to say about it. I'm digging it so far.
Nice.
So yeah, so it was a good week.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Only thing I got going on is mixed feelings for football. my college team is killing it, but my pro team is in the toilet.
Yeah.
How's Saquon?
I don't know exactly. To be honest with you, I have not paid attention.
Oh, so you didn't see this weekend that he tore his ACL?
No, I knew that, but only by reading it because I can't get into football this year. Because I just have this cloud over my head thinking it's going to end at any minute because of COVID. So I don't want to get excited. So I haven't really watched anything. No fantasy football, nothing.
As the people who listen to the show will find out over time, just because I'm sure it'll come up in many a conversation about movies. I am from the great city of Miami, Florida.
Really?
Yep. I know it comes as a surprise to everybody. We at one time were the kings of all things football, but as empires crumble, so do legacies.
Yeah, that's very true.
But let's get here to the meat of what we actually came here for.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh yeah. So we are going to be talking today about, some would say, a great movie,
Really good.
but some might just say it's good, as in Goodfellas.
Oh, that hurt me in my core.
Yeah.
I'm the king of segues. I'm like the Paul Blart of this show.
I don't know if that's something to be proud of.
No, it's not.
You crashed through that. Yeah, that was bad. That was
Although,
fantastic.
speaking of dad bodies, I do kind of look like Kevin James.
I know, I ate a dad body, so.
Yeah. So we chose to start with this movie because it's just one of those all-time movies that we watched at some point in our lives and decided it stuck with us, and we wanted to talk more in depth about it.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
I don't even know where to start at. Maybe just the beginning.
Well, let's just start at the beginning. So this
Well, I'd like to start at the beginning, but you can't with this movie.
you can't, but you have. But yeah, I mean, so the film, you're in the shit right away. You're in the car with three guys. You got Henry Hill, played by Ray Liotta, Jimmy Conway by Robert De Niro, and of course Tommy DeVito, played by Joe Pesci. And this movie starts with a noise coming from the back of the car. They pull over. There's clearly a guy in the trunk, so you're watching a gangster movie. And Joe Pesci pulls out what has to be the butcher knife from the movie Halloween.
Yeah, that thing's like 14 inches.
Yeah. So it
great.
sets the vibe right away for his character for the rest of this film.
Yeah.
Not only that, but in that scene, now I watched this movie over the weekend. It's now into the week, so I'm trying to remember if this was at the beginning or when they eventually come back to it later in the film. But not only does Joe Pesci's character Tommy stab him with that knife, but they unload a few rounds into...
Yeah, Jimmy, De Niro's character Jimmy unloads a few rounds into him as well.
But into the car.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny, but I'm like, aren't they worried about shooting the gas tank?
Yeah, just no regard at all.
I mean, everybody knew that, like...
They weren't thinking about that.
A car from the 60s and 70s is going to be super, really, like, never going to blow up if it gets rear-end impacts.
That's true. I wasn't thinking about that.
It was a caddy, I mean.
No, that was actually a Grand Prix.
Oh, that's true.
He drives the caddy later in the movie when he's on his coke
that's
binge.
true.
But I noticed that because I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that's a nice Grand Prix.
Hell yeah. Beautiful cars in this movie.
Oh, yeah. This movie is like, when it comes to food, cars, and just like gangster, it's like porn.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, it seems to me the whole reason Henry wanted to be in the mob was because he got to double park. Like, that was a huge
I know.
sticking point for him as a young guy. Like,
Yeah,
these guys
Double
get
park
to
in
double
front of a
park.
hydrant and no one would say a thing.
Exactly.
And nobody would park in my driveway even though we didn't have a car.
Your car.
Well,
Yeah.
as all this is going on, we get the voiceover that sticks with us through a good portion of the movie. Now, we do get two separate voiceovers during the movie. We get both Henry Hill and Karen Hill, his wife.
Yeah.
Now, what strikes me is I didn't really even think about it to the very end of the movie, but I think the entire movie is him testifying in front of like the entire movie as you're watching it is his testimony in court.
That did
And
not
That's
even...
interesting.
Yeah.
And then her testimony in court, because you'll hear them talk over the movie and explain what's going on, and then at the end when he gets up to break the fourth wall, I think anytime you hear him talking is him saying like what's going on in court, and then like it does like the whole like visualization where someone's explaining to me, and then it goes to like where you actually see it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So,
that makes sense, too, with the dialogue. It's very apologetic, man. Like...
Yeah, that's true.
And he's telling it like you wouldn't like. He's telling it like he's telling a story to somebody. He's not like telling it like, like you would just recall something for yourself. Like he's like painting a picture.
Yeah.
So the voiceover comes over, the screen goes black, Goodfellas comes on the screen in red letters. It's awesome. It's ominous. And then we get a really quick dynamic change with one of the, like, just this awesome. I can't remember the name of the song that comes on either, but it's got that great like 50s feel to it. That 50s Italy feel, Italian feel.
Was it Rags to Riches? I'm looking at a list here. But,
yeah, there's so many songs. There's like 40 something songs in this movie.
I know, it's great. Well, it's always Scorsese uses music so well in all of his movies.
The music budget for this film, I think I got it somewhere here in my notes, but it was like a ridiculous number.
Oh, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Well, you know, most of that went to Sid Vicious at the end. We'll get there.
Sid Vicious.
Yeah, but we got to take a step back, because one of the most famous movie quotes ever is spoken by Ray Liotta, you know, over the car scene, and that's what leads us into his younger self. Is just, for as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster, and that sets the scene for everything. So, and then we move into his younger life.
Yep. Now, I like the way they zoom in on him when you first see him. He's standing behind window blinds, which kind of resemble like he's in a prison at this point.
Yeah.
Like he's in a prison of where he doesn't want to be. He's like, he wants to be out with all the cool gangster guys. He wants to be out doing gangster things, living the lifestyle, having the jewelry, playing cards, getting whatever they wanted, the big cars, all the women. And he's stuck up in his bedroom just kind of staring down at it.
That's a good insight. Those are good notes, man. You want to see my notes? It just says freeze frames like 20 times. Freeze frames.
But the freeze frames are awesome.
They really are. I was really taken by the freeze frames in this movie. The way that was all cut together, and we'll get there. But just the editing in this movie is unreal.
Well, that's Scorsese for you.
Yeah,
that's just one of his trademarks.
But that's a good insight there. I didn't really pick up on that. I was more distracted by how many of these actors were in The Sopranos.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. There's 27 actors from the movie.
Yep.
Wow.
That go from, bit parts in The Sopranos to major roles. But yeah, 27 people.
I have a note here that says, Paulie Walnuts looks unsettling without white hair on the sides.
Yeah. He's still got that tattoo, though. Same tattoo.
Yep.
Wearing the muscle shirt. Same look. But yeah.
So we get introduced as the camera zooms in on the cab stand to Tony Cicero, also known as Tuddy. He's the brother of Paulie, and Paulie's the boss of the mob. It kind of goes through some of the things of what makes him important, and you see the dynamic of how like people respect Paul when he comes out. They go up and they're fucking with Tuddy, hitting him in the stomach and shit. Then Paul walks out and everyone's like, oh. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. It's your fault,
Yes, they're blaming each other.
Yeah, because they don't want to get on his wrong side. That's right. The man. Which, funny enough, in The Simpsons, Fat Tony was kind of drawn to look similar to his character, to the character that Paul Cicero played in.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah.
Wait, his name is Cicero his actual last name? No,
Sorvino, Paul Sorvino.
So Paul Sorvino. I don't want. Yes. All these fucking Italian names, like there's too many, and they all sound the same.
Well, they were like, "Hey, Paulie, you're gonna be playing a character named Paulie. It's a huge stretch for you, we know." But
yeah, exactly.
Yep. Now I feel for Henry Hill because I too I have an Irish dad and an Italian mom. So I feel like this is my story right here,
Yes, it's your story.
I never viciously got beat for skipping school, and I never had the mailman's head stuck into a pizza oven because of that. But I did, aspire in life to be one of the cool guys, like that was hanging out, that people respected.
Sure.
I do like the line that he says though. After he gets beat, he goes, "Everybody takes a beating sometime."
Yes.
He looked at it kind of as his way into the organization.
Yeah, that was it. It's just another thing. It's a part of the life.
Yeah. One of the things about this movie I seem to really have picked up on as I was watching it, and I think it just adds to the authenticity of the movie. Well, it is a true story, which it tells you at the very beginning, which apparently I've never watched it at the very beginning before. I must have always come into that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, wow, this is a true story, but it clear as day just says this is a true story.
Yes.
But the way that Scorsese doesn't like pretty up the sets, he keeps it looking real. Like the scene where they show like they're talking about Paul and how he doesn't like, have conversations on the phone. He maybe talks to 6 or people
Right.
total. They're sitting there grilling food, these delicious looking sausages in front of like a fence with the grass overgrown and pallets sitting behind them. Like that is
Yeah.
real. Like that's how it would actually look.
Yeah, the movie felt very authentic, and it's interesting. I'm not an Italian guy. I'm a Puerto Rican guy, but I married into an Italian family, and I met a lot of Italian guys, a little generationally older than me. So I can see how formative a movie like this was for them, because these were the neighborhoods and stuff that they were familiar with, and it felt very real. Yeah. And also made them all, want to act like gangsters and stuff too.
Of course, yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing about the authenticity that you talked about, I mean, it was shot, the scenes were shot all in either Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan. I think the furthest he went out was over the bridge into Jersey for a couple of scenes with houses, exterior house shots and such. But so each scene might not have been in the exact location where it took place in real life, but it was authentic because it was in that area.
Yeah.
If it happened in Queens, they shot it in Queens. If it happened in Brooklyn, they shot it in Brooklyn. He obviously had to make concessions as far as exactly where these things took place. But yeah, I mean, that's Scorsese. That's what makes it so real, is like you said, just seeing a pile of pallets in the background, or, the meatpacking district, seeing the other trucks around, things like that. It's important. It's subtle and almost subliminal, but it's very important. It gives that flavor, and it allows you to take it all in.
Yeah, even like interior shots throughout the movie, they weren't filmed in like soundstage studios. These were real places. Yep. The
houses, everything, the bars, they were actual locations, and yeah, they went inside and filmed them.
Yeah, I have it throughout my notes, but like as I go into places, I'm like, some of these places look shitty. Like the Bamboo Lounge, for example, like it looked like a really shitty place.
But back then, that's what it was, man. That's
it would have been a fun place, but it was like a shitty fun place.
Right. Exactly. It's the equivalent of what we call a dive bar now.
Correct. Yeah.
It's where you want to hang out and have a drink, hang out with the gang. So
I kind of jumped out of the storyline there to kind of just talk about the authenticity, because I think that really helps this movie like connect better than a lot of other movies can. Like I love that when things just actually look real and they don't look forced.
Right.
Yeah.
So it starts talking about Paulie, and how he doesn't talk to people. He doesn't use phones. I picked up on this right now. He does not use phones. He'll have the guy, and they show him walking through the rain to talk to somebody, then walking back to the payphone to call somebody else, because he doesn't want to leave any type of a voice recording, which I feel like this is a lesson that could come in handy later down the road.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, definitely. No, I was in referencing this scene, you get that he doesn't want to use a phone, and he's, they have this system where they go to the payphone and they deliver messages, but they're using a payphone directly across the street from Homeboy's house.
Yeah, right. It's convenient for shooting, the film, but you're right. It is a little. It's kind of funny.
We couldn't break up the single take shot. I mean, to have him walk 6 blocks,
yeah.
That would have been a long fucking take.
They saved that for the Copa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying also that Paulie, what he provided was protection for people. They called it the police department for wise guys.
Exactly.
Which
I thought that this was really good because from Henry's perspective, he's romanticizing the mob. He's making the audience feel what he feels like these guys are superheroes.
Yeah.
And you really do, see it from his point of view. They are providing a service that can't be provided by anybody else, and it really tracks. Like, it makes sense. So the villains, you're not seeing them that way, and it really helps push the story forward, and you understand why it's so important for him to be in with these guys, because it's like a kid wanting to be a firefighter or an astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to his dying day, that's how he felt, even after ratting everyone out.
Yeah.
He never talked badly about them.
Oh no, he talked bad about regular people.
What's that?
He talked bad about regular people. Like,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just an everyday schnook.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I have to live the rest of my life as a schnook, and it hurt him, it crushed him that this happened to him. But he had to save his own skin. But I mean, he used to pop up on the Howard Stern show. He'd call in, and just listening to him tell the stories. He to his dying day, he never changed his view. I mean, that was the best part of his life.
Ketchup and egg noodles.
Yep.
So the things he really liked, and I thought this was kind of funny. He didn't talk about like at this time of his life when he was younger about the money or like that kind of stuff. He talked about kids carrying his mom's groceries home out of respect.
Out of respect.
Talk about cars not parking in front of his house. There's just little things like that. He gets his brand new suit, comes home to show it off to his mom. She's like, "You look like a gangster."
Look at my shoes, Ma.
And he's like happy. He's like, "Hell, fuck yeah, I do."
Yeah, that's the highest compliment.
Yeah,
it was about the respect. Even the emphasis on that word respect when he said they carried my mom's groceries home for one reason: respect.
Respect.
And that's what it was all about.
Yeah, for sure. I like how the beginning, like, it's a short. Like, it isn't really that long of an intro, but it covers so much.
Yes.
They have the part where the guy gets shot outside the pizzeria, and, like, they're trying to get him off the property, and then, like, Henry runs back in and grabs aprons, and he's not even worried about the guy that got shot. He's worried about him fucking up the aprons.
I know. What's wrong with you?
You wasted 8 fucking aprons on this
fucking aprons on this guy.
I'm just like, so it's like you need a little bit of toughening up.
Yeah. Yep.
Then we move on to the scene where they're kind of in a little den of underground gambling. That sandwich spread that's out there, oh my God, it looks so good.
Wasn't it, though? I know.
Oh, man.
Well, that's where he meets Jimmy.
Comes in, and Jimmy's just like the man. Jimmy's walking around handing out money to everybody. Like I said, the bartender got $100 for keeping the ice cold. And when when Jimmy meets him, he just slips a 20 right into his pocket. Nothing else, just right into his pocket.
Keep them coming.
Keep them coming.
I have a note here that says De Niro is supposed to be 28.
I know.
Yeah. See,
they didn't have the de-aging CG back then.
This is my one gripe with this movie. I was trying to save it as long as I possibly could, but the Jimmy and the Tommy characters are way too old. Now, I don't want anyone else playing them because it's just they have to be, De Niro and Pesci, but they're both way too old. Like, the Tommy character, when he got made at 28.
No, of course. I mean,
and De Niro looks like he's like 50.
This allows me to pull in something you'll hear quite often too, is the fact that I'm the old guy in the group, right? I went to the movies at a time when you just suspended disbelief. Yeah. You didn't even give it a second thought about their ages or like about the special effects because it was what it was. You went for the story. So
yeah.
I can understand how you younger guys might want to have a little more authenticity, but I'm going to have to defend the old school filmmaking. Sorry.
Like I said, I wouldn't replace the characters because they made the movie, but
and I didn't really run into it. Like it was just in that moment because it was in the dialogue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I totally get it, and I do agree with you. That was my first thought. Rewatching it again now, these last few weeks, just to refresh my memory. It's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, the actions of Tommy also are a lot more like explainable when you realize he's only like 20 years old when he's doing this shit, like randomly shooting people and fucking hothead, because he's not old enough to be matured through, like, if he's been there this long and he's still alive, it's because, he's mature. You can't just be this hothead 50-year-old guy. Like, it doesn't work.
Right.
He would have been fucking killed by now.
Yeah, I mean, he was, I think, 10 years younger than Henry in real life, if I remember correctly, 10 or 15. Yeah. Not 15. It had to be 10 years younger. So, yeah, he was a kid. I mean, for most of this in real life.
And he was supposed to be like a big, burly dude.
Gigantic. That's what they said. He was massive.
Apparently, they wanted Pesci to play the role of Jimmy, but Pesci's like, no, I'm playing this role.
Yeah.
Or I'm not doing this movie.
It wouldn't have worked. Pesci wouldn't have worked as Jimmy.
Nah.
He just wouldn't have. I mean, Scorsese knew that he got it right.
Yeah. So for all the things that I think could have been good if they had someone that age, I still wouldn't trade it because Pesci kills the character.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So back to the bar. They start talking about Jimmy. He's 28, he's something years old, 28, 29, they say. He was locked up at 11, and he started doing hits by the age of 16, but his favorite thing he loved to do was to steal.
Yeah.
And he loved to root for the bad guys when they went to watch movies.
Yep.
Which I always love that, because I kind of like doing that too. I don't know, I kind of like the bad guys.
Oh no, I get it. I totally get it. Unless they're completely irredeemable, or monstrous.
I mean,
yeah.
If they're a monster or a total piece of shit, then I'm not going to root for them. But
I'm always up for that. Definitely.
I like an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
There's an underdog
100%.
element to it. Yeah, it's
You want some ambiguity to it, some conscious shift. I get into that.
So it goes to a couple cut scenes of showing Jimmy, robbing trucks. And then he's taking cigarettes in the beginning, passing them out. Cops come up. He just hands them like a couple packs of cigarettes with some hundreds shoved inside of them. But Henry's out selling cigarettes with, I can't remember the other kid's name that he was with.
No, it was with Tommy.
Oh, that was Tommy?
That was young Tommy. Yep.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize that was Tommy.
Yeah, he introduces him. Jimmy introduces him. Hey, this is Tommy.
But
that was their first time meeting, so that's Tommy, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, shit, then they really fucked that up because he is the same age at that point.
Yeah, I know. He was maybe a little younger, but not much. Yeah, I know. They did make him smaller, though. So he was shorter.
I was like, well, that can't be Tommy because Tommy would have been 35 at this point if Pesci's 50-something.
Yeah, right?
But, so Henry gets busted, and I love this next scene, like, where he's in the court, and, he doesn't say shit.
No, I know. But wait, I need to step back to the actual scene because I got something I want to ask you guys.
Okay.
All right. So they're selling the cigs, and Tommy's walking back to the car when the cops walk up. And rather than go up and help, Henry,
he just runs away.
He ducks and he runs like a chicken shit. Now, I know that he immediately, the scene cuts, he immediately runs to tell the crew what's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. To me, it sort of points to some underlying, things that Tommy's got going, where he's definitely in it for himself. It's self-preservation from the start. It's not that he ratted, but he didn't help. He ran. He didn't take the hit. He just took off. He just snuck away like a little snake. And that, maybe I recognized that the first time I saw it all those years ago, but definitely rewatching it, it caught my attention right away. How he snuck off.
I thought about that too, but then I thought, well, maybe one person has to get away to let everybody know what's going on.
No, I don't say it's 100%. I just say it points to something that's there. And the only other thing I wanted to point out about that scene is Henry. I wish I now remembered the actor's name, the kid, with him just saying, "It's all right." No, it's all right. Because he was so clueless.
Yeah, he didn't realize
as to what was really going on because he was so enamored with these people he was working for that he just thought it was all right. He was dead serious. Like, no, it's all right. It's all right. No, wait, it's all right.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, do you know who you're fucking with here?
Yeah, no, it's all right. And then, and then it goes into the court scene. So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. You can go ahead, Joe. I just want to get that out.
No, that's great. That's what we need to be talking about. We need to get to the root of these real problems.
Yep.
So they go into court. He doesn't say nothing. And then the lawyer, he sees the look the lawyer gives the judge and the look the judge gives the lawyer. And he's like, oh, I get how this game works now. Like, I get it. Yeah. They pull me off the street, make a show of this, but.
Yeah. The lawyer's character name in the cast credits is Mob Lawyer. He doesn't even have a name. Awesome. He's just Mob Lawyer.
Mob Lawyer.
Well, he puts that shit-eating grin up, and then Henry's free.
This is kind of the crux of the whole rest of the movies is never rat on your friends and always keep your mouth shut.
Exactly.
And, spoiler alert, Henry does not do that.
Nope. In the end, it was about self-preservation. 100%.
Yeah. I love that when he first gets out of there, like there's a whole fucking just group of people that want to sit there and fuck yeah, Jimmy, you're the man.
Rubbing his hair, kissing him.
It's like it's like they were waiting outside for him to lose his virginity.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
But I mean, that was the principle of the whole thing was
that's what drew him in.
Yeah, we're your real family. Yeah,
exactly.
We don't rat on each other, and But you're right, and it's interesting that scene with Tommy where he runs away, sort of reading into that. They really are just all afraid and all kind of cowardly, and
Yes.
they rely on that system of like, well, you can't fuck with me because of who I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, it might not have revealed a lot, but it did point to his character, in my eyes anyway.
So we get one of the amazing freeze frames.
Freeze frames. I wrote it
And
several times. I love the freeze frame.
this is the last time we see young Henry.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
next thing we see the Idlewild Airport, which I had to figure out was actually JFK, what it was called before
Yes,
it was
it's
JFK.
baby.
Because this is in 1963, so obviously
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been named after JFK yet because he's still alive and kicking.
And I love the introduction of adult Henry
Yeah.
just panning up from the shoes and that sharkskin suit. I mean, he looks sharp,
Yeah.
like timeless. Like, yes, it was 1963. The dress was 1963, but it's timeless. The guy looks like $1 million,
Now, I don't know if this is just me, but every time I see like Ray Liotta when he's all like spiffed up and his hair slicked back, he looks like a dollar store John Travolta.
I would take him over Travolta any day, though. Like,
Oh,
any
yeah,
day
so
of
would
the
I, but
week.
I'm just saying that's what he looks like to me. Every
I
time
know
see him,
what
like,
you're saying.
I'm like, it's Travolta. I'm like, no, it's not Travolta.
Yeah.
Like,
No, there is a similar look. I get it. I do get
Yeah.
it. Yep.
Have you seen Ray Liotta recently?
Oh, God, how
I
bad
have
is it?
not.
Wait, have
Don't
you seen
ruin it,
Travolta recently?
He looks.
Don't ruin it.
I don't want to
Yeah.
say bad. He looks alarming. I don't know. They just did this Fast Times at Ridgemont High script read with all
yeah.
the celebrities, and he played the teacher.
Oh, he
And,
did, Mr. Hand?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's something about, I don't know. Check it out.
Oh, we're doing that movie, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Someday
Yeah.
we're doing that movie. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, he kind of looks. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of him now. I don't really know what he looks like. He just looks like an old Ray Liotta that's face is
See,
melting.
That's sad because even a year ago, he was in that show with, what's her name? Alex Rodriguez's wife. Jennifer Lopez. He was in
J-Lo.
that cop show with J-Lo on NBC. And yeah, he looked like older Ray Liotta, but he was in shape and he was good. He was as good and as like sharp. And that's going back a year. I mean, the show got canceled. Maybe he got upset because it got canceled. I don't know. But yeah.
He looks like he should be a correspondent on like a cable news network.
Hey, look, at least he didn't go Russell Crowe. All right.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right. That's frightening. 300-pound Russell Crowe.
Yeah,
But
Russell
anyway.
Crowe got a little big.
Yeah, so Idlewild, you didn't know that, huh?
No, I didn't know that.
I
always
mean,
liked
me
the
being
name
a New York
Idlewild.
guy, I knew that. My dad worked at Kennedy from right after it changed from Idlewild to Kennedy. Like, that was his life. He worked for Eastern Airlines.
Yeah,
for-
I mean, if I need
couple
an
of
expert
decades.
on New York airports, I'm definitely calling Doug.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I wanted to touch on. I know I don't want to get off track, but looking at the location shoots.
Hold on a second here.
What's that?
When you talk about airports and you're growing up and touching on stuff,
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. But
maybe
no,
one day you guys will get that story when we do Deep Blue Lagoon.
There you go. The just the location list. I mean, obviously, I have a deep connection to a lot of what's going on there. If not the location where the scene was shot, where it was supposed to have taken place, like the diner, right? That airline diner. It's based on a diner that my dad used to go eat breakfast at or lunch at, like because
nice.
it was right by Kennedy Airport. So, like, my dad would talk about that way before, any of this went on. He would, like, around the dinner table. Yeah, I went to the Sky. I think it was called the Skyline. I'm trying to find it. I couldn't find it online. Or maybe it was the airport diner. But, like, I had seen that place. He took me there. That wasn't the diner. That location's up in Astoria, which is northern Queens. But, like, I have a connection in some small way to a lot of the areas that the movie was shot, which makes it even cooler for me,
Yeah, that I always love it. Like when you're watching something, you're like, "Oh shit, I've been there."
Yeah.
Like spoiler alert for a movie we got coming up in a probably another month or so, but we're gonna do a movie Big Trouble, and I've been to a lot of the places in that movie. But yeah, so Doug's our resident New Yorker. I'm a resident Miamian, and then Eric's been a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, I spent some time in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Indiana, California, and Florida.
No, you got a lot of bases covered. Good.
Got a lot of bases covered, yeah.
So back to the movie now. The airport. No, that's good. This is what this is all about. They used to rob the airport anytime they needed money. They said it was better than Citibank. I love that line.
I know, right? Whenever they need money, they rob the airport. Yeah.
And it's funny because like no one ever fucking cared or something. Like how do they not never get in trouble?
It's as far as like the airport stuff goes. Everybody now is a post 9/11 mentality when it comes to security at an airport. But pre 9/11, like even when I worked security at Kennedy Airport back in the 80s, I mean, the worst thing that you could think would happen would be like somebody to hijack a plane to Cuba, and no one would get hurt, and they'd all fly home. You know, so back in the 60s, it was even more loosey goosey. You know, and everybody knew everybody. Everybody had connection, and shit like this happened, you know?
Yeah, that's when the Mile High Club was prevalent. Alive and well.
All right, now.
So that takes us into the Bamboo Lounge.
That's my favorite scene. Just the introduction scene.
Yeah, they're introducing like all these different characters.
Yeah. The single shot. Just
all the names down.
Oh, you did? Excellent.
Oh, nice. See, all I wrote was, this feels like Dick Tracy.
Yeah, I can't read half my handwriting, but I know there was an Anthony. Looks like Stabile.
Yeah. Or Stabile.
There's Mr. Afro Hair Frankie Carbone himself.
Oh, I love those eyebrows.
Frankie's one of my favorite comic gangsters ever.
Yeah, he's great. Then there's Fat Andy, who is Mo Black's brother.
Yes.
Frankie Wop. Freddie No Nose. Pete the Killer, who is Sally Ball's brother. Then there's Nicky Eyes. He has glasses.
Yes, the glasses. Always the dark glasses, yeah.
Mickey Francesi. And then Jimmy two times. Get the papers, get the papers.
Yeah, because you call him two times because he said everything twice.
Yeah.
So good.
So, I mean, it's just awesome, man. You know, they said it's the only way to live. They just got whatever they wanted. They took it.
Yep.
At this point, you know, the basically the nostalgia blowjob ends because that's all the beginning of the movie's been so far up to this point.
Right. Exactly.
And we actually get to some plot. Frenchie comes in and Henry calls Jimmy over to talk to him about a heist they want to set up for Air France to rob it, which I always thought was funny that his name was Frenchie and he worked for Air France.
I know. Well, that's why they called him Frenchie. But,
I guess maybe. But
and by the way, he was in Dumb and Dumber. You want to hear the most annoying noise in the world?
That's
him.
right.
Oh my God. I did not put that together, but
that's him. That's him. And again, I should know his name. I've got stuff here, but that was him.
That's a good deep cut, Doug. I got to give you props on that one. $500,000 in cash.
Yeah.
That's what they were looking for there. And this scene ends and goes into one of the best scenes in the entire movie.
Yes. Oh, by the way, real quick, my aunt worked for Air France when that happened.
That's funny.
Yep.
You had an airport family.
Oh yes, yeah. My aunt was an Air France lifer. Absolutely.
And I know you don't believe this, but for some reason you do sound like Bill Burr to me. So every time I see F is for family, I think of you because he works in an airport.
That's hysterical. Okay.
So we get to the great joke that Tommy is telling about fuck your mother. Whoa, what are you doing here? I thought you were going to fuck your mother.
I know. It's so great.
And they are laughing like this is the funniest shit they've ever heard in their fucking life. I think fucking Ray Liotta's about to fucking like burst an eyeball and he's laughing so fucking hard.
I just want to find something as funny in my life as Ray Liotta finds what is being said by Tommy in this scene.
Yeah.
Because that laughter is
great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And he's like hitting his leg, whack, whack. Oh, you're so funny. You're so funny. And then it all fucking just dies down. What do you mean I'm funny?
This is where Joe Pesci really steals the rest of the movie.
Oh my God. And now the best part about this was not even in the script for the movie. This was something that Pesci had this happened to him. Like there was another guy that said this whole situation, like he said he was funny and this guy said this whole thing to him at a bar one day and he was telling Scorsese about it. And he's like, oh, we got to put this in the movie. We got to put this in the movie. So only in that scene, only 2 people knew what was going on. Him and Leota. No one else knew what was going on because when they filmed it, they wanted to get like the honest reactions of like what was happening. That's why if you look at people look all fucking like kind of like real nervous and shit because they don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, that's
no,
awesome.
exactly.
I didn't know that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I happened to stumble across that in my this movie is just so full of random trivia that is insane.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we get the famous line. What do you mean I'm funny? Like I'm a clown? Like I'm here to amuse you? This has got to be one of like when you go to movie quotes. This has got to be like in the top. I don't even know what, but it's got to be in the top at least 100 of movie quotes of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
If not
For
like the
sure.
top 20.
And this scene also does the job of introducing a very important character of ball busting, which plays a prominent role in this movie. Ball busting is such a huge part of the culture. They're just constantly fucking with each other.
Yeah.
It's their love language.
Like, it's funny because, like, I think this whole thing is just a test to see if fucking Henry can take the pressure. Because, like, when Henry, like, oh, get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy just starts laughing. He's like, oh, good. I thought we were going to fucking have one of these people that's going to, bust under pressure.
Crack under pressure.
Crack under pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, everyone gets back to, like, having fun. And then, the guy and if you watch while they're doing the whole it's funny scene and the joke scene, the fucking guy with the bill just keeps tapping Tommy in the shoulder the whole time.
No, he's so dumb. Oh, man.
And then he comes up with the bill, which of course is to show off the whole like aspect that Tommy doesn't like to be made a fool of in front of like his
100%.
people.
Yep.
So when he goes, oh, put it on my tab, that's when the guy should have just walked away. But nah. He's like, well, it's like $7,000, and he goes, so you're gonna call me out in front of all my like he just sees this whole fucking situation play out where he's like, you think I'm funny to the other guy, and he goes, I'm just gonna call this guy out in front of everybody. Now this has got to be one of the stupidest fucking people I've ever seen in this movie.
Sonny Buns was his name.
Yeah. So he fucking gets a bottle smashed into his head.
Yep.
And then the fucking waiter, who's in the stupidest like outfit you've ever seen, the worst Tommy Bahama shirt ever, just fucking stands there and looks at him until he gets shit thrown at him and runs off. Oh god. And then it goes back to, him saying some shit, and then fucking, of course, Leota, like, Henry Hill has to go like, you really are funny. Fucking cut at him.
That's it. I'm gonna shoot him.
Oh, God. That's such a good scene.
Yeah. No, it is. It's timeless. That, like you said, that quote has to be top 5 ever from a movie.
Oh, yeah.
So
we move on to the next scene, and you see Paulie sitting at a table, and Sonny's in there like bitching and complaining about Tommy to him.
One of my favorite funniest line takes place in this scene.
Go ahead.
Keep describing.
I don't want to steal it from you because if he offers Paul a partnership in the restaurant, and then what does he say? Tommy reminds him of.
See that I don't remember.
Oh, I thought this was the line you were going for. He goes,
oh no!
Like putting a silk hat on the pig.
Is when Paulie says, "What do you want me to do? Shoot him?" He goes, "Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea."
Yeah.
And then Paulie just looks at him, and Sonny just puts his head down. It's just like it's so great. It just shows how dumb he is.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And he's fucking sitting right in front of Henry while he's doing all this. Mm-hmm. Like,
well, you know something? Henry set that up.
Yeah,
you couldn't tell, and he filled Paulie in beforehand. That whole thing was an act for Sonny. Just to get the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Just to find a way to make money. So
yeah, because they show them like loading the shit in and selling it and running up the credit.
But yeah, just Paulie going like acting dumb. Like what am I? I don't know nothing about restaurants. What am I supposed to know? He knew.
Yeah. He
knew because him and Henry hashed that whole thing out before Sonny came in. So.
And then one of my favorite lines from the entire movie comes to the next scene when they're loading the shit in and out of the restaurant. He's like, "Can't make your bills this month? I don't care. Fuck you, pay me. Can't do this? Fuck you, pay me. You can't do this?
Exactly.
Fuck you, pay me."
Yes.
So they run all the bills of the restaurant up, but they're just like, they're buying shit at retail price and then selling it for half the cost just to move it because it's all profit to them. They don't care.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't pay for it.
Yeah, it's not their credit. They didn't care for it. Then they just burn the whole fucking place down at the end.
Exactly.
Which I find it funny that while the place is burning down, they're sitting in front of it, and Tommy's asking Henry to go on a double date.
I know.
With a Jewish girl who hates Italians.
Yeah, she hates Italians. She's afraid of us.
And, it's just... That's the ridiculous shit that I like. That's the shit that makes it real. Because, this probably really did happen. Like, just in this exact way. Like, they were probably
absolutely.
sitting in the place burning down. He's like, hey, so what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going out with this girl.
Well, that's Scorsese's a master at that. Just creating just inane, normal conversations and throwing them in, just high stress situations and just to disarm you,
So Henry wants nothing to do with it. He starts fucking, complaining, and then we get another voiceover comes in. We get to hear Karen's voice for the first time.
Yeah.
Basically, she's just talking about how fucking annoying Henry is because he's not paying attention to her. All he wants to do is leave the date because he wants to go meet with Tutty to fucking take care of some business. Ends up taking her home and just leaving her basically to go run off and do what he wants to do. It's the most awkward scene when like Tommy's trying to be cool at dinner and like he's just like, nah, fuck it, I just want to get the hell out of here.
Yes, exactly.
The next Friday,
to leave separate like a bunch of hobos, one at a time.
Great line.
Yeah.
Then they get up next Friday, and it's like it's supposed to be a double date, but Henry never shows up.
Oh, when Karen goes looking for him, that's the best.
Yeah, she has Tommy take her to the taxi stand.
Yes.
To like find him, and then she goes, "What are you, some kind of Frankie Valli or something?"
I think that's the moment when Henry really falls for her.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
He's like, I like this one.
He's like, oh,
and the moment
shit.
that Karen really falls for Henry is probably when Henry pistol whips the neighbor.
Oh yeah.
And
then asks her to hold the gun. She even says, like, she's like, it turned me on.
I gotta admit, it turned me on.
Yeah.
And for some reason, speaking of Sopranos, I can never get out of my head that Lorraine Bracco was the therapist in Sopranos.
Yeah, I know.
I ran into that quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so many characters that like cross that and Christopher or Michael Imperioli later. Spider.
Ooh, yeah. Spider.
Yep.
Yep. Poor Spider. Okay, so that's right. I lost my place there for a second. Sorry about that. Next, we get to what is known in cinema as one of the most intricate shots of all time.
Oh yeah.
The Copacabana scene. They enter through the back of the restaurant. And then basically they walk through the underbelly of this entire operation. He's saying hi to everybody, slipping 20. He's basically pulling the Jimmy, charming everybody and just kind of showing off his wealth and his, status. He walks in the restaurant, people sitting there waiting for a table. The manager just brings up a table, put it front and center for him right there. And the guy's like, hey, but we've been waiting for like an hour. He goes, well, you're going to keep waiting.
Yep. Little over 3 minutes for that scene.
Little over 3 minutes for this
shot.
And they were saying because the steady cams back in the day, they're not like today where the gimbals are much easier to move around. These are big giant pieces of camera equipment that they're trying to maneuver up and down stairs, around corners, through tight kitchens, through corridors.
Yep.
And they said the reason they had to do it, they shot this 7 times. The reason they had to do it was the stand-up comedian at the very end kept messing it up. He would come in too early.
No. All right, wait a minute. Let's take a step back here, and I'll call my old man, card again. The stand-up comedian. That's Henny fucking Youngman, dude.
Yeah,
he's one of the most famous stand-up comedians ever.
He's no Dave Chappelle.
Okay. Yeah, take my Dave Chappelle, please.
I'm just fucking with you, man. No, I couldn't remember his name, and
it's all good. It's all good.
But he's the one who kept messing it up.
The choreography in that scene, that's what it is. I mean, yeah, they had to do it 7 times, but just the choreography for, again, the busboys, the waiters, just everybody moving,
had to be perfect.
Yeah.
But if you look at the end, Ray Liotta gives this kind of like where he touches his head and kind of points to the side, and that's the cue for the stand-up, the comedian to start. Because like he kept fucking it up, and like they were so mad because it was the very end of the scene.
Yep.
But yeah, so he's big time and trying to act like he's the man, and then the comedy keeps going over, like you hear the voice of the comedy go over the Air France heist, which is kind of a cool thing because I love how he does this. He does this a lot where he'll carry the previous scene into the next scene, but he'll carry the audio from the previous scene over the visuals of the beginning of the next scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great piece of work that kind of like transitions nicely, much nicer than how I transition things. I mean, I
use the sledgehammer method.
Yeah, I'm more like, what's the guy who did The Room?
Oh,
Tommy Wiseau.
Wiseau. I'm more of a Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, with the Shyamalan twist at the end.
what are we doing in the
That
room?
twist is it's not very
man.
good. That twist is you've made it long enough that you can't get a refund. So they pulled the Air France heist with the help of Frenchie, and I think they brought in a little over $420,000, and this was what got Henry really started.
Yeah. Yeah, that was huge money, man. It was 1967, so that was gigantic money.
Yeah. We always got to bring into the economy of scale of inflation with these numbers, because these numbers might not sound like a lot in like today money, but back in 60s money, that's a lot. I mean, Doug, how much could you buy a new car for back in 1963?
$1,500.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing a number out there, but about that, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, think about.
I think that was a high-end car, actually. But
yeah, that
I'm
was like
not sure.
decent. That was like an Impala SS.
Yeah.
Which I want a '63 Impala SS, by the way. That's kind of one of the cars I've always wanted.
Okay, you're definitely from Miami.
Oh yeah. Well, they're more late '60s, early '70s.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
And they ride them high. We do ride
them
high down in Miami.
Oh, you do?
Depending on what kind of rims you have on that car will tell me if you're from Miami or not.
It's a donk. But the next scene goes to the country club with where Karen's like, you know, in her element, and like Tommy like completely feels. I'm not Tommy, Henry. God, all these fucking names that are sound the same that all end with E.
Yeah.
He feels completely like out of his sorts here. He's trying to pull out cash to like pay for things. She's like, no, you just signed for it.
Yeah.
Then the fucking dude with the tennis rackets, shit, the neighbor guy who he beats the shit out of later, comes over and tries to introduce himself, and he's just fucking sitting there like, I ain't talking to you. I don't fucking know you.
Right. You know, it's funny, and that's another thing that Scorsese did as far as locations go, right? That scene was, what, 2 minutes long, if that?
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
Right, so they went down to the Catalina Beach Club in Atlantic Beach. It's on Long Island. And it's basically, you know, a small like bar island that runs the south shore of Long Island in that area. And there's like a beach club every, you know, half a mile. And the thing was for Jewish people back then, or even now, the beach club is the place to go all summer. And so he wanted to be authentic. So he could have shot that anywhere because it wasn't a wide angle or anything, but he felt it was important to go down there and shoot that because that's what Karen's family would do. That's what every summer they would spend the summer at the beach club. So it's just cool. It's just another, you know, nod to how cool Scorsese is.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like the her element, like she feels good here.
Yeah.
But he definitely is a damn fish out of water in this scene.
Oh, big time.
Then it goes back to another Copa date where he's out showing off again. You can kind of see her at this point being more and more into it. She gets her second voiceover. You can tell she's really starting to fall for Henry. She loves the exciting lifestyle and everything. And I think that leads to the scene where they're in the car and they start making out.
Yep.
And then it goes into one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Maury's wigs.
Maury's wigs.
The commercial.
I love Maury.
Which... What's funny is this was actually based on two commercials that came out back in the day. There was a actual place in the area. I think it was like Martin's Wigs or something like that.
And the men's club.
Yeah.
The actual Maury, I don't know his real name. He owned the men's club. I mean, I grew up with those commercials. But
then there was another
on TV
one
all the time.
The guy who actually had make the commercial was a guy who owned a window company. And it was like, the guy's like, we had, you know, our windows have like 6 inches of insulation on either side of the windows. I guess the commercial came on in New York back all the time.
Yeah.
But Scorsese actually like basically subcontracted out the making of this commercial. He had no part to do with it at all. He liked the commercial that he saw, the original one from the TV,
Right.
and he hired the guy who made that commercial to make a commercial for him for the wig shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and a cool
pretty
fact
awesome.
about the actor Chuck Lowe, who played Maury.
Yeah,
He's De Niro's landlord.
Landlord.
Was at one point De Niro's landlord, and he's his property manager now.
he's in
was.
almost every movie De Niro's in too.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been pals forever.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of nepotism in this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The one person they really wanted to get though was Al Pacino to play Jimmy Conway.
Yeah, they did. I know.
But
I know.
Pacino turned it down because he didn't want to get typecasted. But it's funny because he ended up playing a bigger
I know.
gangster that year in the Big Boy Caprice in Dick Tracy,
Exactly.
which was kind of funny that like he didn't want to get stereotyped as a gangster, and that's pretty much what he is. He's either a gangster or an
was the
extremely crazy
stereotype of a
person
gangster.
or the devil.
Yep.
Because that movie where he's the devil, Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
That was filmed. Well, the beginning parts of it were filmed here in Gainesville, where I live now.
Right. Right.
It was cool because there was like a bar here that, well, they tore the bar down now, but the bar that was in the beginning, I've been to that bar before, and the little like church that they had was like right down the street from where I live, and then the courthouse was the Alachua County. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Then of course the rest of it takes place in New York, so you know.
I don't know if I could have handled Al Pacino in this movie. Like, this
Al
was a
Pacino and
perfect cast
Pesci
for
would be
this.
too much.
Oh yeah, I agree. No, it was all right in the end. There's no.
It would have been like
question
the Pacino and Pesci show.
about it. That's true. Yeah.
There's a lot of big energy in that room, man. A lot
Mhm.
of chewing scenery going on there.
Yeah, could you imagine like the whole like spider scene where De Niro's being so cool, like, hey, you gonna let him get away with that? But Pacino be like, whoa, you wanna let him get away with that?
I know.
Hoo-ah! You are digging the hole.
That's pretty good, Joe. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I can do a couple people. Okay,
All right. Well, yeah, keep that one in your pocket. That's a good one.
Pacino's one of my favorites, so we'll definitely do some Pacino movies along the way. But
Yeah.
back to this movie, we were on the Copa. That's right, the commercial. Then of course, you know, Maury, who's the most fucking annoying person in the
Oh
world,
God, he's awful.
starts to fucking complain to Henry about not having money and about Jimmy trying to get money from Jimmy, which is, you know, just something you don't do. Like,
Yeah, I know.
and Maury's not
it
even
didn't
like,
matter.
he's not cool about it. Like, he's not like, you know, I'm gonna wait till he's on his own. He's like right in the middle of the crowd. Hey, where's my money?
Yep.
Give me my money. I want my money. I'm
That
just
was
like, damn.
that was great acting. You know, you got so frustrated at the character, you just wanted to reach through the screen and shake him.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, what's
Just
funny is I
fucking
wonder
stop.
how many times as his landlord he actually did come down and say, "Where's my money?"
I know exactly. But yeah, I mean, completely thick-headed, just oblivious to the
Yeah.
danger,
Yeah.
like all the time. Yeah, because he thought he was one of the guys too, so he thought he was above it all in his head, and he just didn't get it. And in the end, he got it. So
Oh, he got it.
yeah,
So in the middle of Maury being a bitch, Henry runs out because he gets a call from Karen about the douche across the street with the Corvette.
yes,
He touched me and then kicked me out of the car when I told him no. So Henry, of course, is fucking badass. He walks
That's
across the
the
street and just
best.
fucking pistol whips the motherfucker in his driveway.
not even a word.
Yeah. And then the other guy's like, no, don't shoot me. Don't shoot me.
Yeah,
He walks over, tells her to hide the gun, and you get her next voiceover. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of women would have called it that when the guy handed them a gun and told her to hide it, but it turned me on.
yep.
So
You
they
know,
get married.
naturally.
Seems like a healthy relationship.
It's an age-old love story.
Oh yeah. The wedding scene comes up next, which is awesome. I love the whole Peter and Paul thing where like they can't remember which Paul it is.
That whole scene is 100% accurate
Yeah.
to an Italian wedding. It is 100%.
It's all Peter's, Paul's, and Marie's.
Exactly.
Then they start handing them the envelopes, and as you watch, the envelopes get fatter and fatter.
I know. It's great.
And then they're dancing, and she's like, "Oh my god, the basket with the envelopes!" And he just fucking laughs. He's like, "No one's touching that hair."
I know, that's a great line. That is a great little throwaway line, and so true.
And song plays, and they dance out talking to each other, but you can't hear what they're saying, but you see them talking to each other.
Yeah.
Then you get the scene with the mom and the dad. What kind of man doesn't come home to his family? He stays out all night.
Oh, wait, sorry. Just to go back real quick, when you talk about mom and dad, the beginning of the wedding scene, when they crush the glass and the camera pans up and shows Henry's dad, he looks so fucking pissed off. He's just completely done with it all. It's hysterical. It's just a little quick thing. You can just tell he wants nothing to do with any of this. And then they go on to the reception. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I did completely forget about that.
Now, the only thing about that wedding scene that I was missing was there was a distinct lack of Vincents. There needed to be more Vincents or Vinnies or Vins.
What?
Yeah, but it is almost really true about the Peter and the Paul thing.
Yeah.
Vincent can fit in,
and
definitely. He's in top three after those two.
Top three.
Well,
he's in there.
What's funny is my name is Joseph Vincent.
Yeah.
I'm about as Italian you can get for first and middle name, and then my last name is O'Rourke, which is Irish.
Joey Vinny O'Rourke, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, what pisses me off, my whole life growing up, I was Joey, and I was like Joe, and I was like, why the fuck did I not go by Vince? Vince is like a way cooler name.
Vince is maybe the coolest name out there.
And then like,
it could be.
I'm like a little too old to go by it, and I'm like, God, I really wish I would have went by Vince because
it'd
like,
be weird if you changed it.
Yeah, I tried like a couple years ago. I'm like, just start calling me Vince or call me Vinny. Like, it's way cooler than Joey. Joey sounds like a kangaroo's baby or some shit. It's like a fucking cool name.
Yeah, Joey is a very childlike name. Like, you should have one of those hats with the little
look, it's little Joey
top.
over there. Like, it's hard to take someone named Joey seriously. Like, but Vinny, like, people look, that's Vinny. Vinny's a cool guy. I like him.
Yep.
All right.
My cousin's named Vinny.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Dad joke of the night.
Yeah.
Ding. Oh, I didn't hit the ding button. But the dad, her dad in that scene looks so familiar, but I can't place where I know him from.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't.
Bob
he reminds
Altman.
me of one of the actors from L.A. Law.
Well, he's been in two things ever, so I guess
but
he's
it's
not
him. He looks like the guy from L.A. Law, but it's not him.
He looks like the guy.
What's the over/under on him being in an episode of The Sopranos?
Yeah, he looks like the guy that's in all those like funny movies, like Biodome, and the guy that's like her brother. He's sitting at home. What's his name? That's who I was thinking of. My mind just went blank here.
Biodome, you say?
Taylor Negron.
Oh,
He looks like
in peace.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking
guy.
of when I see him. Like, he kind of looks like him.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but enough of my foolish divesting from the story. This is a long movie. We got to get through this episode.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, he finally does show up later in the morning, like early morning, late night. And then she goes to the door, like, all happy to see him, and the mom just busts out, "What kind of man doesn't come home and stays out all night with his wife at home?" And then fucking he just leaves. He starts laughing, fucking gets in the car, and Tommy just starts busting his fucking
they're all
balls.
laughing. What's wrong with you, Henry?
Yeah. What's wrong with you, Henry? And I think that's a 1960 Impala he's in, if I have my cars right. It has that Impala look.
Yeah. And by the way, real quick,
top.
Suzanne Shepard, who played her mom, that's Carmela's mom in The Sopranos.
Oh, shit, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
So the next thing we go to is the hostess party, which she defines as bad skin and makeup.
I know. It's so great. Her narration over this scene is so great.
And the one girl who's talking about Miami is, what did she call it? The Jewish heaven or something? Or
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah.
It's something like where it was like...
Where are you from? Lawrence. Yeah, I'm from Miami. It's where the Jewish people go to die or something.
It's some shit like that. And I'm just like, damn, it's pretty accurate if it's Miami Beach, but like not the rest of Miami, just Miami Beach. It's the one place outside of New York where you can actually go to a decent deli.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
I spent a lot of time in Lawrence, by the way.
Did you? Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Lawrence Fishburne. Exactly. Yeah, we don't talk about that though.
No.
Jesus.
God, sorry, I couldn't help myself there. Next.
Wait. Sorry, I got a story.
Oh, let's do it. What you got?
So that scene, you see them getting the fur coats and stuff off the racks.
Yeah.
Actually, that's Big Pussy has a cameo in Goodfellas. He's one of the coat rack guys. That's what his name in the cast list is, like, coat rack guy.
Vincent Pastore.
Yeah, Vincent Pastore. When I was a teenager, late teens, I may have sold fur coats out of the back of a truck with some friends of mine, and we would go to Brooklyn and pick the coats up and bring them to a hotel and set up in a ballroom over the weekend and sell the coats.
Hopefully you sold them in the winter and not the summer.
No, we sold them anytime that people would come in because the prices were so great. And, all these people that I did this with their names definitely ended in vowels. Yeah, so I did that in real life for a month or so back in the day. So We'll move on from there.
But yeah, so the hostess party, they're just talking about these women are terrible people. All they talk about is complain about their kids, their husbands, and beat them and this and that. And the kids don't listen to them anyways.
Exactly.
They go to a bedroom scene where she's all worried that he's going to go to jail because he hears the stories about Jeannie's husband going to jail. And he says, nobody goes to jail unless they want to go to jail. The reason he went to jail was to get away from Jeannie.
I know, exactly.
Which that should come back to bite him in the ass.
The reason that is because back then there was no RICO Act. So the gangsters didn't have to worry unless they specifically got pinched for an actual crime.
Huh.
There was no RICO Act. That came later. So
that's interesting.
He was right.
There's a random truck robbery scene where they take the truck, and then Tommy shoots his gun in the air. Then the FBI busts into his house with a warrant, and she talks about how she offers them coffee because the other girl just spits on her floor. Why would she spit on her own floor?
Exactly.
Then they start talking about, the montage of the birthday parties, the anniversaries, the vacations, any type of family get together. Like, these are the people they hang out with. They're always there. It's not like, they don't have wide groups of friends. They have their friends.
Yeah.
Shows their house where, he's got like a whole just like line of suits down the side. And she has a whole line of furs, and he's just like strapped in fucking money like it's a damn suicide vest.
We're going to do this thing. I got a thing tonight, Karen. I can't do it.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I know, exactly.
And then he hands her a stack of money. He's like, how much do you want? And she's like, puts her fingers up.
This much.
And then, you know what he gets?
Yeah, I know.
He gets the Heroes BJ.
The Heroes
right in the kitchen.
BJ.
Right in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yep.
Then it gives us a date, so this is obviously an important thing, because it seems like only important things get actual dates in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So June 11th, 1970, they're at the Sweet Lounge, which is owned by Henry, and we are introduced to another character, a made man of the Gambino family, Mr. Billy Batts, played by Frank Vincent, which, ironically enough, my uncle and grandfather's name's Frank, and my name's Vincent. So there we have Franks, Vincents, and Josephs. We've even got a Carmine.
You got it all.
Yeah, that's a great one too, Carmine.
Oh yeah, that's a real good one. That was my grandfather. He passed away last year in November. He was 92 when he passed away, so he lived a good long life.
Wow,
nice.
Carmine Joseph Regna. Anyways, so Doug, I'm gonna let you take this scene because this seems to be like your favorite scene.
No, it's so great because it's Frank Vincent in his prime. I mean, he was obviously born to play a mobster, a gangster, and he just runs it like out the door with this one. And I mean, just the condescension He's talking about the shine box. Spit shine Tommy. And you can just, they cut to Tommy, and you can see him just starting to seethe. And he's not saying anything, and then he just keeps going. And then, you know, the tension sort of breaks with that. You know, I'm only fucking around with you. And then, you know, Billy drops the line. Why don't you go back and get your fucking shine box? And I've said, I say, it's like, especially my oldest son, Tim, and I, that's a line we use to each other, like, almost daily. even over the phone, it's like, we bust each other's balls. Go and get your fucking shine box.
So, that's great. Now,
yeah.
What I didn't notice in the first couple of watches, but I noticed today, is as Tommy's walking out, he says, don't let him leave, don't let him leave.
Don't let him leave, yep.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Because he wants to get rid of his girlfriend.
Yeah,
he needs to get his girlfriend home.
And they need to get his friends out of there, too.
Yeah, exactly. No
witnesses.
I mean, they didn't want it, you know. I mean, Henry and Jimmy didn't want it, but they knew it was going to happen, especially, well, obviously when they saw him, they knew it was going to happen. But,
yeah.
You know, like, especially Jimmy. Like, when Tommy jumps on him, Jimmy's right there. He's right there swinging, too. You know, Henry's
fucking
hesitant.
Feet kicking.
You know, because he doesn't know what to do. He runs and locks the door, but Jimmy's in on it from the get-go. And they just, you know, they beat him to a pulp.
Now, here's an interesting bit of trivia. I don't remember the other names of the other two, but there's 3 movies that Frank Vincent plays in where he gets killed by Joe Pesci.
Really?
Yep. I can't figure out my notes where I saw it at either, but I know there was 3 movies total where Frank Vincent's character gets killed by Joe Pesci's character.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And there was something else they did. I think it was The Sopranos, where Frank Vincent gets killed. And he said he was looking out for Joe Pesci when they were filming it to see if he was coming to kill him.
That makes sense. Yep. Well, it was probably Casino. Oh yeah, it was Casino.
Yeah, Casino.
No. Because Frank Vincent kills Joe Pesci in Casino. Frank's one of the guys that kills Joe Pesci and his brother in Casino, if I remember correctly. Anyway,
no, Joe Pesci kills Frank Vincent's character in Casino, and then and then in Casino, Frank Vincent's character kills Pesci's character.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In Casino,
okay.
Frank Vincent kills Pesci's character. Yeah.
Okay, so I had it flipped there, but I know those two are in movies killing each other.
Yeah.
There's another movie also, and then when Vincent was in Sopranos and got killed, and that was the joke was like he was looking out to see if Pesci was around anywhere.
Yep. That makes sense.
Now, one of my favorite scenes comes after that, when they stop at Tommy's mother's house in the middle of the night.
And Tommy's mother is actually Martin Scorsese's mother in real life.
Yep.
Oh shit! Look at that. You spit knowledge, son. I didn't know that. That's cool. I love that scene, man. I love that they cut to she's made them a full meal. And
I know,
it's
exactly.
like 2:00 in the morning.
And fucking De Niro is putting ketchup on his spaghetti.
Yes. I saw that and I'm like, oh, he's so Irish.
And they said,
dude, what are you doing?
He talked to Henry Hill a bunch to figure out exactly how Jimmy would have poured ketchup out of the bottle to make sure he did it as accurately as possible.
Yes. Yeah. And the whole deer's what is it? His paw. His paw. No, hoof. It's a hoof.
Hoof. Oh yeah.
That was ad lib. That whole thing was ad lib.
Oh yeah, that whole
and he goes, I can't leave it in. It's a sin.
It was improv. And then when she says to Ray Liotta's character Henry, "Oh, you don't talk much." The reason he said after he was interviewed was because they were improvising, and he just felt like he was like way like outranked by these people. Like,
he couldn't keep up.
Anything.
So
he couldn't keep up. So he just sat quietly.
Yeah, and so some more trivia. Do you know who painted that painting in real life?
Oh.
It
was someone else's mom.
Mitch Pileggi, who wrote Wise Guy.
That's right.
It's his mom painted that.
That's right.
And she painted it based on a National Geographic cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, why is this old lady showing off this terrible picture?
I know. It's so great. I like it. The one dog's going one way. The other dog's going the other way.
And this guy with the gray hair, doesn't he remind you of somebody?
Yeah, he's got a nice head of hair. Yeah, get rid of the beard. Look at that.
And then you start hearing thump.
They pan to the car for a second and pan back.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think they had like bass music back then where the shit would be thumping the trunk. So something else is going on. You got a flat tire or something? So now we go all the way back to the very beginning of the movie. And we find out why there's a person in their trunk that they're killing.
And you find out where he got that knife.
Which I don't think that scene ever really needed to be at the beginning of the movie. I don't know why they did that, except for just like emphasizing the beginning of the movie.
They wanted to establish the bad side of gangster. Not the bad side, but just, the nitty gritty, I guess, of being a gangster. And then move into the romanticization, if that's a word, romanticizing what Henry thought was a gangster.
When you have a cold open like that for me, and you're gonna like throw back to it later in the movie, it should literally be like you're throwing back to one of the last things in the movie, not something that's like maybe a third of the way into the movie.
Yeah,
because it just seems like that really should have been, like the major point of the movie, and it wasn't, because like there's so much other shit that happens in this. This movie should really be like 3 movies. Yeah. It shouldn't be one movie. Like there should be like a break apart of this, because so much different things go on.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Imagine if like there was one movie of his childhood, one movie of him in the heist period, and then one movie of him in like the drug period.
Yeah. There is a separation. Yeah. But that murder, that Billy Bat's murder, really represents what shatters the illusion. Like Doug was saying, the romanticizing of the life is because that murder is what catches up to Tommy. That murder is kind of what sets things spiraling out of control for the characters in this movie. So it's interesting that they chose that as the focal point in the beginning, because there was so much excitement about Tommy's getting made, and it's this camaraderie and this sense of family, and everything just falls apart.
See, for me, if I was to and I know it's not our point of this show is not to rewrite the movies, but if it was me, I would have started the movie with the scene where he's sitting in the driveway with the gun pulled at his head, and it's "get the fuck out of the car," and then it goes from that into the movie.
Yeah, I think you need to write an email to Scorsese.
Yeah, please correct Mr. Scorsese. Do
that dynamic.
Just don't put my name on it.
Because I don't know. I just feel like that would have made more sense to the scope of the entire movie versus this one section of the movie.
But that's too straightforward, and that's not Scorsese. And that's the bottom line with that. Is that
Either
that does make sense?
I just wouldn't have started. I just would have started the movie with him as a kid and not fucking put anything in the beginning at all. It would have been
I'm not mad at that. I mean, that's. I think that's what you would more expect to see.
Yeah, it would have been like if they put the fucking murder of Maury in the beginning of it. Okay, so they killed somebody. It's fucking what happens in this movie. I get it. But anyways, enough of my foolishness of me trying to change shit that doesn't need to really be changed. It goes next to the idea of why this is so serious is because the fact that there's rules to the mafia. He was made, so you can't just kill a made man type deal, and how serious of an offense that is. That's why they take him out upstate to bury him.
Yeah.
And they say dig the hole deep, but they don't dig that hole very deep.
No, they don't. They don't.
It's kind of like they're digging into the side of a hill that the next good rainstorm could wash away. So they go to the Copa again, and now this is Saturday nights is for the wives, Friday nights is for the girlfriends.
Yeah.
And then they just watch a song for way too long. They could have cut that short. They didn't need to see 3 minutes of this guy singing.
Yeah.
And
that was Jerry Vale was a big crooner back then, and that was him. So they had to give him his moment.
But
those were real tears, man.
When the comedian that I've already forgot his name again was on.
That old guy.
They just let him do his comedy over the high scene. They could have just let the singer keep singing over the apartment scene next, and not had to show them slowly zoom across each one of their faces with tears in their eyes. I'm just we don't need this. This is gratuitous waste of time. I'm trying to watch this movie before I have to record this podcast tonight. I don't need to sit here and wait 3 minutes.
That's why you didn't like the scene.
Watching this fucker sing.
But Joseph,
you could have hit the fast forward button.
It was beautiful, though. See, that was the point. It was
definitely beautiful. But I felt nowadays when movies have a certain mark to make, that would have been one of the scenes that got left on the cutting room floor.
Like, hey, Martin, can we leave? Let's just trim this a little bit.
Yeah. So there's a get together at Paulie's next, where Paulie pulls Henry aside and asks him about Billy Bats, and Henry's like, oh, I don't know nothing about that, which is kind of odd that he asks him out about that. Like, I mean, maybe because I guess he was at his restaurant or his bar, but I couldn't think,
I think that's
the only reason. I mean, I just thought about that now because, like, otherwise, like, why would you just ask him? Like, if somebody like came up missing, you wouldn't just randomly ask everybody if they know anything about that. That seemed kind of weird.
Yeah.
But then, there's a lot of jumping around between scenes. It jumps back to the bar where Jimmy comes up real quick and says, "Hey, we got to move the body because they're going to build like these apartments or something,
condos or whatever he said." Yeah.
Yeah. So they run over there to move the body, and then they just fucking bust Henry's balls for throwing up.
Hey, here's an arm. He's a leg.
Hey, my
wing.
mom's gonna make some sausage and pepper.
You like the wings of the thighs?
Yeah. Then he's cleaning out the car the next morning, about to throw up again, and the kids walk by, spraying blood out in the driveway. Seems like something you would do somewhere else. I don't know if Neurosurgeon knew I would do that in my driveway. But
I know, exactly.
Then they go to a party at the girlfriend's apartment, which is kind of weird. They have like a get together there, and that's where he meets Sandy.
Yeah, I think that's the whole
walking around
reason
the
for that scene.
He makes eyes with her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
No, that's definitely the reason for that scene.
Then we get to the awesome scene of them like in their little. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of that would make sense.
Yes.
But then they go to the poker scene where we meet Michael Imperioli's character, Spider.
Oh, Spider.
Yeah.
Yep. He just doesn't seem to understand you can't fuck with Tommy. Like,
no, he's not the brightest bulb. You can tell.
I thought you said you were good, Tommy. Mm-hmm. You don't want to? Do you want a drink? Get me a fucking drink. Then he pulls the whole.
But I thought you said you were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also a frustrating scene to watch. I'm like, shut up.
It was.
Just shut up.
He kept trying to correct Tommy, and no.
Yeah.
You're
no, what I you said. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
You said Spider, right? Yep. Yeah, I'm good, Spider. Oh my god,
I'm fucking
Spider.
Yeah.
Hey, you ever seen one of those old Wild West movies where they dance when they're shooting at their feet? Go ahead and dance for me. Pow, pow. Fucking shoots him right in the foot.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so great. You shot him in the foot. Now, Michael Imperioli, after he got out of his gangster days, he went on to do another TV show in his older days. Every time I see the character, I'm just like, why did you do this? Have any of you watched Hawaii Five-0, the newer ones?
No,
I watched it for about a season.
He's a barber in Hawaii that surfs all the time. He's like a hippie surfer barber.
That is kind of weird.
So he cuts the guy's hair. He cuts the Hawaii Five-0 guy's hair and then like gives them tips. Like, I heard this guy came in here the other day talking about this.
Oh, man. But see, I feel for him because, you want to talk about typecasting. I bet when he got that script and he was like, surfer? Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Anything but the same shit I've been doing for my whole career.
Yeah.
Well, he's like super intellectual.
Well, he's an informant, like a criminal. What was it? Not criminal. Confidential informant.
Right.
For the Hawaii Five-0 guys. So after Spider gets shot in the foot, Karen and Henry get into a big fight because she's like, "You're cheating on me with a whore." So he leaves. And then, like, 2 seconds later, it gets back to the poker room, and Spider comes back in with a big old fucking thing on his foot. And then, he starts, trying to just do his shit. And then fucking, of course, Tommy can't let the shit go. Oh, what happened to your foot? Think you can still dance? And then he, like, just under his breath, go fuck yourself, Tommy.
Go fuck yourself, Tommy.
And then fucking De Niro's like, oh, shit. Fucking throws 100 at him. Damn, the kid's got some balls. You shoot him in the foot, and he tells you to go fuck yourself.
You gonna take that, Tommy? You gonna take that?
And bah, 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 fucking blows his fucking ass away.
I love it. Then Henry says, "You killed him." Yeah, I'm a good shot.
Yeah, I mean at this range, how could I miss?
Exactly. So great.
And then fucking Jimmy's just like, fuck it. I'm not digging a hole. You got to go dig the hole.
Yeah, I don't have any lime. You go dig the hole.
He's like, yeah, I'll dig the fucking hole. Where's the shovel?
Exactly.
It's so fucking funny.
But I love how it really just cements like what a sociopath Tommy is.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's beyond. He's psychopath. Like he's completely unhinged. I mean, you know.
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
And he's annoyed that
Yes.
they're all taking it so seriously.
Exactly. He can't understand it. Yeah.
Speaking of unhinged, the next scene goes to Karen bamming all the buttons on the fucking apartment complex. Janice Rossi is a whore! Just
Yeah.
fucking yelling.
I just have in my notes written down Karen nuts scenes. That's it. Because that's what she does. She just goes nuts.
Oh, yeah. So then Henry wakes up with a fucking gun pointed at him. And you get her inner monologue. Oh, I couldn't hurt him if I wanted to.
Yeah.
He turns me on way too much. Fucking
And
flips
she
her
was
throat
still
with it.
very attracted to him.
Yeah.
I thought that
Yes.
line was so funny.
Yes. Yep.
Yep. He flips her back on the ground, points the gun to her, and fucking just punches in the damn cabinet and walks out of the room. So now, since all this crazy shit's going on, Jimmy and Polly show up at the girlfriend's house to set him straight.
It's another great scene.
Yep. And this is kind of where the whole thing fucking just falls apart. Because
Yeah.
Henry gets sent
Yeah.
on a vacation to Tampa where they want to feed the lions, which I'm wondering if Carol Baskin was involved in this in any way, shape, or form.
I know,
Bitch.
right? Now that's funny. That scene was shot at Prospect Park Zoo in Brooklyn. It was not Tampa.
Nah.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking that bitch Carol Baskin had to been involved in this somehow. Because if they're in Tampa, she owns a Tampa fucking wild animal sanctuary, big cat sanctuary, where the fuck it is.
Nice.
You haven't watched the show, so I
I still haven't watched it.
Eric, did
And
you
I'm
watch the
proud
whole
of
thing?
that fact.
I have watched it. I
Yeah.
watched the whole thing. I was just sitting there in shock and awe like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't
I like
bring
to call
myself
it
do
white
it.
trash wonderment.
Well, that's the thing.
Wonderful.
Joe, I've already said it. I'm a fucking snob. I'm not going to degrade myself watching that show.
I live in Florida.
Admit
So we just call this Tuesday.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That's very
Goodfellas
true.
is another film that paints our the state we live in such a positive light.
Yeah.
Where Henry wonders, like, they must feed everyone the lions down here because
I know, it's great.
Because he
Because he just
immediately
gave
flipped.
everything up.
Oh, it's just so fucking funny. But yeah, so the whole time watching, that's all I could think about was the damn Carol Baskin bitch, because she fed her husband to a tiger.
allegedly, let's be fair.
Allegedly.
Right.
But they reopened the cold case, so
Ooh.
Exactly.
ooh, so the guy who they roughed up and were about to feed to a lion, apparently through a weird twist of fate, his sister works as a typist at the FBI,
Yeah.
and she
gave
gives up
everybody up,
everybody.
including a brother.
Yep, including her brother. So both Henry and Jimmy get 10 years, and then he hooks up with Paulie, who was doing a bid for something else for 4 years, which thought was kind of weird that he was just in there for 4 years.
Yeah.
But
Well, again, that's pre-Rico.
Then
I
it
think
takes
that
us-
is. That was a little later. I don't know when Rico came into effect, but I think that might have been it at the time, was that he only got pinched for the crime that he did. So he ended up, the 4 years doing that.
nice.
And do you know who played Vinny? The guy who does the sauce with too much onion? That's Scorsese's dad.
Yeah, because that's the one that waxed Tommy later.
Yes. Yeah, that's Scorsese's dad.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He was the same guy, but for some reason my mind just shot out there.
Yeah. And he's done a few movies, or he's passed, but he did a few movies for his son. So that's pretty cool.
So Paulie has got a razor blade, and he's getting that garlic so thin that
So
it'll just
thin.
basically liquefy
Great
when it
system.
hits the oil.
Yeah.
Vinny's making the sauce, but he puts too many onions in it for my taste.
Yeah, I put 3 onions in. 3 small onions. That's not
Johnny's
too
cooking
much,
the meat.
How
How do you like your steak? Medium rare.
Oh yeah, an aristocrat. So, that's great.
And Jimmy's down in Atlanta at a different jail.
Yeah.
But as Henry's bringing in some contraband, like prosciutto and some J&B and some wine and some bread. He
Yep.
also pulls out a bag of drugs and sticks it in his pocket.
Yeah. Oh, and that's something I wanted to bring up. So he gets into the limo to go to jail, that's the first
Yeah.
time you see him do drugs. He pops a fistful of pills. So
Interesting.
that's the first time. And
Now,
then
another cool trivia is Ray Liotta never did any type of drugs. So, like, him trying to play this character of a drugged out guy, he had to really try to, like, work hard to get.
well, he did a good job.
Yeah, he did.
That's definitely a cocaine high. Ain't no question about that.
Yep. He went from, like, Pulp Fiction Travolta to Face Off Travolta.
Yes.
Never go
Yeah.
face off Travolta.
Never go Face Off Travolta.
Ah, that's great.
Because you know why? You're putting that fucking face on a crazy man's body.
Pretty much.
You know.
Which that reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of Community. Nicolas Cage, good or bad?
I know. Yes.
That class like almost breaks Abed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Karen comes in to visit Henry, and she sees that Janice Rossi signed it on a sheet, and she is fucking pissed, causes a massive scene,
Yeah.
starts throwing drugs and fucking sausages and fucking cheese and bread and shit out of her jacket.
Have her bring it in.
Yeah, have her bring it in next time. You're a whore.
Yeah. Karen, what can I do? I'm in prison. I can't stop anybody from seeing me.
Yeah,
That was his excuse.
yeah. Which that if you watch that scene as it's going, like the first person you see there is some guy getting head.
I know, it's great. Yep.
Like what the hell? Like
And he's a character actor I've seen in a lot of other stuff. He always plays like a
Yeah.
criminal, you know.
another thing that was kind of cool in this movie, a lot of the extras were actual genuine mafia members.
Yeah, they were. I know. They don't really point out who's who. But
Yeah.
if you look at the cast list, especially the uncredited stuff, there's a lot of Italian names.
Yeah, and they gave like a bunch of fake like social security numbers and stuff too, because they didn't want to actually be like
Yes.
on the books.
Yeah.
But it was kind of interesting. They used a lot of real people from that lifestyle in the making of this film.
Yeah.
So after 4 years, Henry gets out of prison. Karen's there to pick him up outside. He comes home, looks at his place, and is like, "Fuck this, we're leaving. Like we're going to a better house."
I know. I'm going to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
I got $15,000 they owe me.
The next scene takes place at Paul's house. Paul starts, having a heart-to-heart with Henry about, hey, stay away from them drugs. I know you had to do that shit while you're in there, but like, now that you're back out here, I got that you get hooked up. And you might want to stay away from Jimmy and Tommy because they're both getting into fucking trouble and all kinds of
Yeah.
shit.
That slap was ad-libbed, by the way. Paul Sorvino slapped him.
Oh yeah,
Liotta didn't know it was coming because that was like a solid slap.
yeah, you could tell.
And he didn't know it was coming, but it worked. So
Then it goes to the messiest fucking place you'll ever see, Sandy's house.
Oh, poor Sandy.
Yeah, someone was saying like, I was listening to like another show and they were talking about this and they said if they just had a shop vac, they could have got 2 kilos of coke off her carpet. But there's like fucking cocaine everywhere in her place.
yeah.
They were like pressing little balls of cocaine too, which is kind of fucking funny.
I know, that was crazy. I know.
I'd never seen that before, and I grew up in Miami. So then they go to their new house, which has got to be the most tacky fucking house I've ever seen.
It was so 70s. It just was so flawlessly 70s. It was great.
It
The only
looked like-
thing missing, and I guess because the furniture was leather, was the plastic covering.
Yeah.
They didn't bother with it. But otherwise, it was so 70s.
It looked like the Flintstones had a vacation in Japan.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
It was like Viva Rock Vegas meets Tokyo.
Yeah. But even
But, like,
Karen's
not-
outfit. Like Karen's outfit matched the apartment. It was some kind of like half-ass kimono
Yeah.
outfit, and it matched
like,
the apartment flawlessly. Like
This
it's
couch
just, the whole
took
thing
4
was
months
great.
to get custom made for us, and then the fucking remote control was bigger than the TV.
Oh my
So
god.
great.
I love the line,
Cliff
we
Stanton.
had the electrician do it special.
Yeah, I know.
What does that mean?
I know.
The remote, but when I saw the remote control, all I was thinking was, this is like a really shitty pedal that I would see in like do-it-yourself Gear Talk.
Yep.
So we get back to some real business again, finally. Maury comes up and says he has this plan about this Lufthansa thing that's coming in. They can make a lot of money. Doesn't really go into too many details. Then my notes just say Lois is a bitch with a stupid hat. Because Because she's the babysitter, and she has a stupid fucking hat on, like one of those
Yeah, a
bucket
little
hats.
fisherman's hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
She looked like Wilson from that Tim Allen show.
Yeah, that's right.
Same hat.
Then the next thing I wrote down here is Coke Crazy Sandy.
It's funny. I wrote my note was cocaine, Sandy.
Yeah. Where she's all up on Henry.
Yeah.
Then Henry's taking a shower and hears about the Lufthansa heist on the radio where they can't figure out how much money was stolen, but it's a lot.
Right.
And he's just
My dad was working at the airport that day.
Oh, was he really?
Yes, he was.
Was
there.
he working security?
No. He worked for Eastern Airlines. He was on airport grounds. He wasn't. It's not like he was right next door or anything. But he came home talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get your cut? Did he one round, buying pink Cadillacs?
Yeah. No. He kept it. He was the only smart one.
There you go.
Never spent it.
He did the Henry.
Now
plan.
I don't know where it is though. That's the problem.
So Johnny pulls up with his new wife in their pink Cadillac. Jimmy, of course,
Johnny
is
Roast
fucking,
Beef. That's my favorite name.
That is
My
a great
favorite
name.
gangster name in the whole movie, Johnny Roast Beef.
They're at the Christmas party. Everything's cool. He pulls up. Then fucking Jimmy's pissed. Then fucking Carbone comes in with his wife and his big ass fur. Jimmy's pissed again. Then it flashes through and you see a very young looking Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Ernie Stacks. Hitting on a girl there. Which when the next scene with him, his arms are fucking like crackhead skinny.
I know.
It looks so off-putting.
Well,
and then
was that before or after Do the Right Thing? I don't remember when Do the Right Thing came out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Tom, this was 1990.
Yeah, I think that came out around that time, so he was still relatively unknown. So
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't. It took me a second to even realize it was him at first because it didn't look like him at all.
I forgot he was in that movie until I saw him, and it became official that he's in every movie.
I know exactly.
Yeah, he's that guy of most movies.
Yep.
Yep.
Of course, guess who's there being annoying about money?
Yeah, Morris. Oh, real
Maurice
quick
Wiggs.
about that. So Morris's wife is played by Erwin Winkler's wife in real life.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So it just shows you, like you had mentioned, the nepotism, but just
incestuous
the
nepotism.
favors that Scorsese would sort of pay out to people, just doing that. So yeah, she was Maury's wife.
Then I wrote down Henry gets a big stack of money, a big expensive white Christmas tree, Barbies, jewelry, and then
I get the most expensive one in the store.
a stack full of $1,000 bills that he palms over to Karen.
Yeah. Yep.
And it turns out that there was $6 million in cash that came from the Lufthansa heist.
Yeah.
Next morning, Tommy and Carbone show up to kill Stacks because he went to get drugged up or got high and was hooked up with some girl and left the van outside, and they got fingerprints off it, and it was just a matter of time so they would have found him anyways.
Mm-hmm.
The funny scene is he's like, I thought you wanted me to make the coffee. They fucking leave the coffee pot.
Take that coffee to go. What are you, stupid?
Okay. Henry gets worried and he goes to talk to Tommy and Jimmy, but they all just tell him to chill. Hey, chill out. Tommy's gonna get made. So it's like a fucking day of celebration, which of course Maury's in there fucking being annoying again.
Exactly.
Then you start hearing the song "Sunshine of Your Love" comes on by Cream, and it's a great little scene where, Henry knows they're gonna fucking kill Maury, but he's all worried about. He's like, "Well, I got all till night to talk talk Jimmy out of it." So Jimmy knows that he's not gonna be cool with it, so he just kind of tells, "Nah, don't worry about it." And then of course they go out to the car. Hey, can we go get some Danishes? Belle likes Danishes. And then fucking ice pick through the head.
Mm-hmm.
And then the funny scene of Carbone. It's you can't just start a Cadillac. I got to let it warm up.
Let it warm up. I'm going to have him drive. Well, the funniest part of that was when he says, all right, we got to go cut him up. And Carbone starts getting out of the car like he's going to do it right there.
Yeah. You said we got to cut him up. Not here.
Yeah. Exactly. He was just so dumb. It was great.
Yep. So of course, the next morning, Henry's worried about like what the wife's gonna find out, because the wife comes running up to his house, of course, and Jimmy's like, "Oh, don't just tell her he's out fucking around or some shit like that, whatever. She'll get over it."
So I got a question for you guys. I got a question for you guys. Why do you think Jimmy boxed Henry out of that? Because I'm not quite sure.
I think because he knew like how close they were, he didn't want to make him part of it.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense. You're right. I didn't think about it that way because you're right. Henry was the closest to him, so that does make sense. Yeah, I just figured I'd ask because I wasn't
even
really
if you look at the end, he even says like he never asked me to whack anybody. So like he probably left him out of a lot of killings just because.
Yeah, that's true. No, that makes sense. That makes more sense than there wasn't anything really nefarious going on there yet. I get it. Okay.
And then when he's coming out,
I got the feeling he still saw him as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
And Tommy's a kid too, but Tommy's fucking crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Tommy doesn't count.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even though he's played by a 50-something-year-old man. So, there for some reason there's like cops or feds sitting outside of the diner, and Jimmy's fucking with them. I don't understand what that has to do with anything because like,
I think they followed him periodically just for the hell of it because they were following him because of the heist. They might have had an idea that he was involved or that crew was involved, and they were just trying to get something.
Then we get the greatest use of a song that I always forget that this is this song because it's like this movie is two separate movies. This song is two separate songs.
Yeah.
And that's Layla. You get the great piano coda from Layla.
Mm-hmm.
And you start seeing all the dead bodies. You find roast beef in his pink caddy dead with his wife.
Yep.
You find Frenchie in the trash truck.
Mm-hmm.
In the meat truck, you find Carbone, which, if you're watching that scene on a 75-inch TV in 1080 remaster, you'll see him breathing, even though he's supposed to be frozen solid.
Really?
You see his neck like start breathing out, like he's like he's not doing a good job of hiding it at all.
All right, so when I get my 75-inch 1080 remaster, I'll let you know.
I'm watching it, and I'm like, he was frozen solid for 2 days, and I see his throat moving, and I'm like, it doesn't look very frozen solid.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking too much here. You guys gotta talk some more.
Oh yeah. So where were we? Found the dead bodies. Yeah, that was a great little montage just to show you, like how spiraling out of control Jimmy's attitude was to cutting off everybody that was involved.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was good, and I even made a note about Henry was spared. Well, it makes more sense about why as to what you guys had mentioned about the way, Jimmy looks at him. But, I mean, he was spared because he did keep quiet. He followed the rules for, 99% of the rules anyway, except for the Christmas tree. So
yeah, and he also didn't bother Jimmy about money.
That one, so.
Yeah,
everyone else was bothering
him. Under the radar,
Yeah, exactly. It was in the house.
It takes us next to a diner where our both Jimmy and Henry are sitting there eating, waiting for to find out that Tommy got made.
Yep.
It goes to a really touching scene where Tommy says goodbye to his mom, which is actually Scorsese's mom, and he's about to get killed by Scorsese's dad. So that's really awkward. Like if you think about it in real life.
I know.
We get the definition of why they're called Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Because they're good fellas.
Because he's a good fella.
They're good fellas. We get the explanation of why neither Jimmy nor Henry can be made men, because they have Irish blood, so they can't be made. You're not pure Italian where they can trace your lineage back. Which there's an interesting thing I found also that where'd it go here? Henry states that Jimmy and him could never be made because they weren't of full Italian descent. However, that rule was changed in 2000 by the Commission of the 5 New York City families. A man can now be made if his father is of Italian descent and his last name is Italian. However, this would still exclude Henry and Jimmy, as their both fathers were Irish and Jimmy's surname isn't Italian.
Right.
But it shows you don't have to be full Italian anymore to get made. You just have to have Italian fathers.
Oh, that's interesting.
the stuff I found looking for this movie, I just so much. And I know I've missed like 20,000 times the stuff I've already looked up, but we got to move on with moving on. Keep it on moving on. So you get this scene where Tommy's all excited. Oh, how long ago did you get made? Oh, 30 years ago, son. I was, they come into a room and he looks around, and within a split second, fucking shot right through the head.
Yeah,
right
he
through
goes,
the face.
oh no, and he doesn't even get no out, and he gets shot right in the head.
Yep, and they said he shot him in the face, so he can't even have an open coffin at his funeral.
Yeah. And then Vinny standing over him, and he just says, and that's that. Yep. And that's it. I just love the way he says it, and that's that.
Yep.
And there was nothing we could do. There was
Jimmy
nothing.
calls.
It had to be done.
Yep. And he does not take this news well. He kicks over the fucking payphone.
Right.
And then Henry comes out, and Henry's like, what's going on? Oh, no. And then it was really kind of weird at that point.
Yeah,
Then I'm assuming some time has passed. Because now all of a sudden it's 1980.
Yeah, I think that was 78. Don't quote me on that.
Something like that.
I think that might have been 78, and then now he's, Henry's fully into the cocaine, and,
Yep.
just...
And this is the crazy day with the fucking helicopter chases. I literally just wrote down the bullet points of what happens during this day because there's just so much fucking going on.
Right.
So I wrote the crazy coke day.
Right, that's what I wrote. Perfect cocaine description scene.
Yeah.
And then just frenetic camera angles. I mean, he fully demonstrated like a coke addict's high.
Yeah.
On every level.
This point right here could have been its own movie.
Right.
This sequence legit gave me anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And that's all Scorsese, man. That's all just his camera shots, his editing, his cutting. It's, he's on we know that, but he's on a different level. He's definitely on another plane of existence.
And the pace that this moved at, it moved so crazily fast.
Yeah.
So he throws guns in a paper bag. He looks outside, he sees a helicopter, throws it in the car. Then he runs over to Jimmy's house to sell him some silencers that he wanted because he wanted some that of his gun, but it won't fit my gun, so he knew he was going to be stuck with the money. But he didn't care anyways because he had these guys from Pittsburgh that like to buy guns, and he would just sell the guns to the guys from Pittsburgh. And I feel like that's the pace.
Pittsburgh.
The speed with which I just said that, I feel like is the pace of this entire thing.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing. Exactly.
And speaking of trivia, I found this out, which I found crazy, is that when they tested this movie for the market, people did not like this sequence.
Really?
At all. Yeah.
I guess it was like at that time period, they weren't used to this yet.
Your parents are going to like it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it didn't test well. People saw this and they were like, what the fuck is going on? But it works so well.
It does. So he's paranoid the whole fucking time, looking out the window, looking for helicopters. After he leaves Jimmy's place, he's on his way to the hospital to pick up the brother he's never mentioned in the entire movie since the first scene.
Yeah, we know very little about Michael in the wheelchair.
Michael in the wheelchair. That's his name. That's his middle name, in the wheelchair.
In the wheelchair.
He's Michael in the wheelchair.
He's got to stir that
Hill.
sauce. Do not stop stirring the sauce.
Now, what I really enjoy is the fact that Henry, the name that Henry also is usually shortened to. What's the name Henry shortened to as like a nickname?
Hank
Hill. King of the Hill. So when he's a witness, King of the Hill is witness protection life for fucking Henry Hill.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder.
I was thinking about the other day. I was like, imagine if the King of the Hill show was actually the witness protection life that Henry Hill lived.
Oh my God.
That's great.
And fucking Peggy is Karen.
Yeah. And it's cool that Henry's brother, talking about him, that's a very, very young Kevin Corrigan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of my favorite character actors. I love anything that he's in. And he was like a kid in that movie.
Yeah, he was so young.
Yep.
And I'll say, too, having married into an Italian family, I appreciated the reference to the sauce being called gravy.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and I used to eat over my next-door neighbor and best friend's house, and his grandfather would make it was Sunday gravy day. I would go over there on Sundays and have the gravy with the rest of the family. So, yep.
So he's on the way to the hospital. He almost gets in an accident and fucking slams on his brakes. And that's the scene that just made me fucking tense up.
Oh my God, you're right. I know.
Hits the fucking emergency brake. And Now, Doug probably knows what this is, but Eric, when you see him hit the brake and then the emergency brake, there's a little silver knob on the floor. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
That's the high beams.
Oh, no.
Yes. That's how you used to turn on high beams. There was an actual button you had to click with your foot.
There's a button on the floor you click because my old Mercury used to have that in it.
Switch.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like a guitar pedal, but for your lights.
Yeah. Yep.
I was just seeing if you knew that. I knew Doug knew what that was. But so he gets to the hospital.
Yep.
The doctor wants to check him out because he's all fucking. He's like, I just almost got in a car accident. Fucking, and I have like 7 tons of cocaine racing through my veins.
He was so sweaty. He was just covered in sweat. It was disgusting.
Yep. Then he goes back to the house and they start cooking again. And he has these perfect cutlets and they're so perfect. I had them sliced so thin and they're amazing and they're gonna be awesome. The appetizer and I just love how like through this whole like all the serious shit he's doing, he's just talking about like the food still.
I know
because that's still top of mind in his anxious brain. He's like thinking about that sauce, man.
Right. Now he starts the sauce at like 8:30 in the morning or something like that, and they eat at 10:45 at night.
10:45.
I love how late
That's
their
just
dinner
insane.
Yeah, it's like so fucking
and like
late.
everybody was just doing it. They were all they were just all diving in, and everything was like it was normal.
Oh yeah, there's like fucking old ass Pepsi cans and shit on the table.
I know.
So they go to her mom's house to hide the guns, and he says, "Tell your mom not to come outside." They go shopping because for some reason they have to go shopping this day. Of all the shit they're doing, they have to go shopping. I don't understand that one. But after they go shopping, they go back to pick up the guns again. Then they go to meet the guys from Pittsburgh who they sell the guns to, and then they get the coke from them. And then she needs to do a fucking rail. And what he goes, "This shit'll have you seeing helicopters."
I know.
So
one cool piece of trivia, interesting piece of trivia. During that whole scene, there's where I guess he either hands Lois the airline ticket or she has it, and they look at it, and it's blacked out.
I saw that.
Part of the sleeve is blacked out, and I found out it's because they have to pay like basically royalty fees for whatever airline that was, and they expire. And if they keep showing the movie, they've got to pay them.
Interesting.
So what they did since it was released, they just black it out now. Like in theaters, it wasn't blacked out, but now it is because they don't want to pay them.
I wonder what airline it was because most of them went out of business.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if it says it's American Airlines.
Oh, no wonder that's why they should have picked Pan Am. So they pick up the packages from the drug dealer, take them back to the house to give to Lois to get to Atlanta. He calls her and says, "Do not call from the house." So what does she fucking do? Hangs up and calls from the house.
There you go. For the fucking hat, the Wilson hat. Damn it. So
he goes back to make the dinner. Then he leaves again after he's got raw meat on his hands because he places the cutlets, doesn't wash his hands off, just grabs a towel and then runs out the door. Goes over to Sandy's place, and then like in the funniest scene in this whole fucking movie for some reason, she's like, "You're not just coming here to fuck me and leave, are you?" And then he goes, "No, I would never do that." And he grabs it and has this crazy fucking look at it, like, "I got you, bitch."
That patented Ray Liotta cackle, like it's like his calling card, and he nailed it.
Yeah,
it was so good.
No, it just reminds me of the whole like Dave Chappelle "gotcha, bitch" thing. Everyone see that? So he runs out, goes back, and they're actually eating dinner now.
Yeah, right at 10:45.
10:45 at night. And then he's like, "All right, it's time to leave the airport. I need my hat. I'm not going all the way to Rockaway to pick up a hat." Now, I don't know New York geography, but how far is Rockaway from where they were?
Rockaway's a drive because it's an island, basically, on the south shore of Long Island. It's kind of under Brooklyn. So wherever they are in Queens, it sucks. Bottom line is it sucks to have to do
And I'm
that.
assuming they're going back to Idlewild, JFK. So they would go from there all the way down there, then all the way back up there. Is that like a long drive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter anyways because as he's backing out of the driveway, "Freeze, motherfucker, don't move, turn the car off." And you get the whole like, "Yeah, I knew they were cops because Wise guys, I would have already just been dead. You don't see them coming. They don't yell at you. They don't make a bunch of noise.
Yeah. So that cop was actually a cop at one point. His name is Bo Dietl.
Oh, nice.
He was a police detective, and then he basically turned into sort of a reality star. He would you've probably seen him and not even realized it on 100 news segments on CNN and Fox and everything.
He did look familiar.
But yeah, he was a New York City police detective.
That's cool.
Turned actor. Yeah.
So while this is going on outside, fucking Karen goes crazy, starts flushing all the coke down the toilet, and grabs a gun and sticks it in her panties. Because she's trying to like reenact the fucking Ace Ventura scene. She's he. And then Dan Marino's like, "Hey, Ace, come back here." He's sitting in the thing, and he's like not saying shit, and then all of a sudden they fucking come in with Sandy's fucking apartment full of coke.
So great.
And he's like, "Gotcha, dickhead."
Yeah, I mean that's when he grabs Bo. That's Bo Dietl. He grabs him by the arm and goes, "Bye bye, dickhead."
That's right, bye-bye, dickhead.
So great.
So he needs to get bailed out because he thinks he's going to get killed by Paulie in jail for selling drugs. So her mom, puts some mortgage or something on her house to get the money.
Yeah, she puts up her house. She basically puts up the deed on her house.
That's right. Both Jimmy and Paulie, he's worried about both of them, that like either Jimmy's going to try to kill him or Paulie's going to try to kill him or Paulie's going to try to kill Jimmy.
Yeah.
So he goes home, and then he realizes all the drugs are gone because she flushed him on the toilet. They get kind of in an argument. He goes fucking crazy because it was $60,000 worth of drugs.
I know. But that scene is so emotional for the two of them, though. It was incredible because they were both coked out of their minds.
Oh, yeah.
And she sees him break down like he's never broken down before.
Yeah, he's always
like, she looks at him, and she knows he's defeated, and she's crushed for him.
Yeah.
And then they just end up, like, holding each other because they got nothing.
They wake up, he has the gun in his hand, and he goes to apologize to Paulie and tell him about how ashamed he is and how he just needs, like, a break, cut me a break. And Paulie hands him a wad of cash,
$3,200 for a lifetime.
For a lifetime. And then he turned his back on him, and he's like, "You got to go." And he's like, "Well, that still doesn't mean he's not going to fucking kill me. He just gave me some money."
Right. Yeah.
So
he's that's what he says. He goes, $3,200 for a lifetime. That's not even enough to pay for the casket.
Yeah, that's right. He does say that. Then he gets in a fight with Karen about having to leave, and she's like, "No, we don't have to." But then she goes to see Jimmy, where she gives her some money and then sends her down to get some dresses to the sketchy-ass corner, which she realizes is kind of like a setup. And at that point,
you think he was going to whack her?
See, I'm not sure.
I do.
kind of
Yeah, I'm not either. You do?
I kind of do.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing, though. And this isn't in the movie, but in real life, when Henry's in jail, like the real Henry was in jail, she was fucking Paulie. Like, regularly. Yeah, to get money. And then I think even Jimmy tried to fuck her, like, a couple times, like, in real life.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was listening to like some of the interview behind the scene with Henry Hill, and he was talking about that shit.
I think he was trying to get her killed just by the way he was looking around.
Yeah.
In that scene,
like
just
to
make sure there's nobody in the alley,
or kidnapped. Like either they were going to hold her to like have like Jimmy or have Henry brought to him, type deal. So he can get
I agree.
Henry's
I think
hiding.
my hesitancy comes from just personal feeling, like not wanting that to be the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do agree. I guess just to look at it, objectively, I agree. But I just didn't want it to be that. So even all these years, it's like, nah, she really wasn't going to do it. But yeah, even like thinking about the replaying that scene in my head just from watching it today. Yeah. I mean, there was definitely something nasty going on.
Yeah, they keep emphasizing this idea of like you have no choice. Like there comes, a point where you have to do the thing you don't want to do, and it just becomes the job.
Right.
Yep.
And clearly he was just knocking people off that list. So yeah, for me, just the shifty looking around, and even when she runs away, he gets back in the car and peels out. He just kind of he doesn't look like, why the fuck did she do that? Like, what about the dress?
Yeah, I know he's kind of frustrated. You're right. I mean, maybe it was said earlier, but if Jimmy felt it was necessary to whack Paulie, he would do it.
Yeah.
Just to protect himself. So I get it. Yeah, I agree with you then. Yeah.
Yeah. So she runs home scared, and then like Henry's like, well, I got to go meet Jimmy. So he goes up to the diner to meet Jimmy, which he says is weird because he showed up early and he's sitting by a window, so he wants to make sure he can see who's coming and going. And then he sends him on a hit type thing. But he knows that he would never have done that, so if he went down to Florida, he wasn't coming back. Which, once again, thank you for fucking calling Florida the shithole where everyone goes to die. So they go to the next scene where they're in like meeting with the witness protection guy, which this is actually a real witness protection guy too.
Yeah, he is. I know. You could tell. You could tell in that dialogue that it was just him being him. That was the cool part of that.
They actually got a guy who was just an actual witness protection guy to do the scene because he would be able to like have convey this the way that it actually works.
It was very very natural dialogue. It was cool. Yeah.
Yep. Henry decides to that it's what's going to be best because even if he goes by himself, which he won't do, they're just going to take her and the kids to try to like get back at him. And she can't visit her mom, but maybe we could work something out if they're in the hospital. Unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah, right. But he's telling them anything that they want to hear just to get it going, because that's going to seal his deal.
So they get the case going on. Jimmy gets arrested. Paulie gets arrested, and then it goes to the actual like the jury witness like trial scene, where he's basically the continuation of this entire movie has been him telling the story to the jury. I still think this entire movie is him telling the story to the jury.
That could be. It could be, yeah.
That's why you got all the narration over everything, because it's him breaking in and breaking out. And then he just breaks the fourth wall at the end. And
one of the best fourth wall breaks ever.
Addresses the camera. And, then it goes to the scene where it's like wherever they send him to in the Midwest, probably like Oklahoma or some shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I went in to try to order some spaghetti, and they gave me egg noodles and ketchup. Living like some kind of schnook. I missed the lifestyle. He didn't miss nothing except the lifestyle itself. That's all he wanted.
No, well, that's what it was. That's what it all goes back to, Yeah.
And then for some reason they have Tommy shoot the camera, which I think is supposed to be like a train robbery thing or something.
Yeah, the train robbery.
Yeah, it is. It's from that. It's an homage to that, but it's also to just let you know that Henry knows that he's never going to be safe. And then the coolest thing about that is as the Sid Vicious, starts to play up and Henry closes the door, the sound effect is a cell door closing.
Yes.
It's not just a door closing,
because he's back in his prison
cell
of suburbia.
Because he's in prison, whether he is or not.
When he was a kid, when he was looking out the window and through the blinds as the prison.
Yeah.
Because he's not in the life that he wants to be in. Now, the reason they put the Sid Vicious version of that is because Frank Sinatra wouldn't let them use his version. They wanted the Frank Sinatra version, and he would not let them use it, so they just said, fuck it, we're going to use the Sid Vicious version instead.
Yeah, but it works, I mean, because that's the thing. We've talked about the music a bit, but, per Scorsese and the way he does things, every song was either from the year that it took place or before. So there wasn't any music used that was created after the scene chronologically. And it's cool the way it was a lot of, classic Italian or crooner music, but anytime drugs were involved, it went to that 70s, and even it actually started the Billy Bats scene, right? When he attacks Billy Bats, they play a Donovan song called Atlantis. Right. And that was the first modern non-crooner, non-like Italian classic song in the movie. And then it started to evolve because they got into the 70s, but also when the drugs got involved, the music would change. So it's just obviously another way that Scorsese's a friggin' genius.
Yep. So I got a couple other pieces of trivia I just wanted to touch on that were kind of funny. The word fuck and its derivatives are used 321 times in this movie.
Yes.
An average of 2.04 per minute.
Nice.
And Joe Pesci says about half of them.
Yeah.
The script only called for the word to be used 70 times, but since much of the dialogue was improvised, the expletives piled up. When the film released, it had the most profanity of any movie in history. But as of 2020, it's only number 15.
Right.
The Wolf of Wall Street is number 3.
Yeah. But that's the reason why it lost to Dances with Wolves for Best Picture.
Yeah,
was,
'cause all
was the
profanity.
violence, the graphic violence, and the profanity. And I mean, and we're talking 90. It's not like this was the 70s. But even in the 90s, it was that provincial, where it costed an Oscar for Best Picture.
Another cool thing is, during the movie, they insisted, De Niro insisted on having real money and real guns because
Yes.
he didn't like the way fake money felt and the fake guns felt, and he didn't think it was authentic, so they used real money and real guns. And then Lorraine Bracco decided, well, if they're getting real money and real guns, I want real jewelry. So they
Good
were
for
all
her.
had, everything was real because they wanted it to be super authentic.
Yep.
And then they said De Niro got top billing, even though Ray Liotta is the film's narrator and the main character of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's not surprising.
Yep. There's just so many cool, behind the scenes facts about this. It's such a cool movie.
Yeah. Bottom line, that's what it is. That's the perfect word for it. Is it's cool. It's like the coolest.
Well, it's a good place for us to throw our ratings at Goodfellas here. Joseph, out of 5 stars, what are you giving it?
Yep. So let's do a breakdown real quick. So we've never done one of these before. We're gonna go on a star system, a 1 to, or actually let's do 0 to 5 stars because there's gonna be some 0-star movies out there.
Sure.
This is our 0 to 5 stars. We can even do partial stars if we want to make it, whereas 1 being lowest, or actually 0 being the lowest, 5 being the highest possible. So if you give it a 5, this is the best movie you've ever seen. This is a cinema classic. It goes down in history. You can watch it over and over and over and over and over again. And if it's a 0, it's what you make your worst enemy watch.
There you go.
All right. So on this movie, I'm going to give it a 4.5 because I do think it is a cinematic masterpiece. I think it's very well shot, but there are a couple spots where I think that, I don't want to say it can be improved, but I think it could have been done differently and also been good. Where if it's a full 5-star, there's nothing I would even consider changing whatsoever.
Right. That's fair. So, all right, I guess I'll go next. I'm going a little bit higher just because it is one of my all-time favorites. So I'm going 4.8. I got to go that high. I mean, I don't think I'll ever go at 5. There is actually one. It's a television series that I would put at 5 out of 5, but we're not getting
curious.
into that. Yeah, Band of Brothers. That's 5 out of 5.
Oh, I thought you were going to say How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, that's it. Right, How I Met Your Mother. But 4.8 because, I mean, it's also my emotional connection to it. I think that influences me. So, but I can find very, very little wrong with this movie. So, that's mine.
All right, I'll cap it out with a 4.5.
Okay.
One of the highest scores you're going to get from me on a movie. I mean, this movie just killed it. It's immensely watchable. It's just one of those films that when it's on, you can't look away. It's so well crafted. It's just amazingly shot and edited, and Scorsese's a genius. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Goodfellas.
Yep.
Nice. Do you have a 5-star TV show, Eric?
A 5-star TV show.
Since Doug had one?
No, because I like bad TV shows, man.
Oh no, I've got a 5-star TV show. Best TV show I've ever seen. Wouldn't change a thing. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That is a phenomenal show. I'll give you that.
I can respect that. I can respect that rating. Definitely with that one. Yeah.
Also, it's the longest running live action comedy show in TV history.
Yeah.
It even surpassed Seinfeld. All right, so we're going to be releasing these shows bi-weekly. So if this episode right now, if you're listening to it, it's October 2nd is coming out. So that means our next movie will be coming out on October 16th of 2020 because, you listen to podcasts, you don't always listen to them up to date. And the next movie we're going to be covering together here as a dynamic trio is going to be Ghostbusters. So who are you going to call?
Hey, are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Have you or your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost? If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call it professionals.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yes, I did memorize that. This was my
That's
pick.
great.
Have you ever seen anybody do the Ghostbuster song for karaoke?
For karaoke, no, but
I
hats
have.
off.
And it's not so bad until they get to the line, "We're busting all over this place."
Bustin' really does make me feel good.
Yep. So thank you guys for joining us on our journey through these movies. We have a Facebook group. It's the Masters of the Cinematic Universe. Feel free to join and have the discussion carry on. Give us your thoughts, your rankings, your corrections and omissions that we left out. And, maybe make some suggestions for movies you'd like to see us do one of these days coming up. Because we plan on doing this for a long time. If we're going to be Masters of the Universe, we can't stop. We got to be on top of this thing here. So, once again, thank you for joining us.